Ooh, I gotta turn my shit on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another Saturday Night Sci-Fi Shadow Chat. Yes, fashionably late. I have been saying that all afternoon in regards to Nathan's show because I'm always, there late. But hope everybody's having a great weekend. I'm feeling better. I was feeling like death warmed over because of catching what the little guy had for 2 weeks. I'm a slacker. Hey, no, I'm a rocker.
Rocket.
Remember that song by Tin Lizzy? Freaking love that band.
Oh, hell yeah. Tin Lizzy.
Mm-hmm. So, hope everybody's having a great weekend. Shut the fuck up, Omen. I'm going to slap the cock right out of your mouth. Oh, my God.
What the fuck?
Just like a woman. He's always late.
Feeling some aggression on the show tonight.
Shit.
No, I'm awake. I've been like
slap the cock right out of his mouth. Damn, Shadow, that's harsh. Funny, but harsh.
I've been sleeping for like the past 48 hours. I did do my show yesterday, which, by the way, I got a little tag on it because I used copyrighted music. I mean, for like 14 seconds, and boom, they jumped on me like freaking cheap on Kmart.
You got nailed for the James Bond thing?
You betcha.
Did you really?
Pricks.
I get fucking flagged all the time, dude, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, they said there's no thing, and that it's restricted in one country. I wonder what country.
Like Russia?
No, the UK probably. Think about it.
I always get restricted from Russia. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, ever since the Queen passed away, that country's just gone to shit.
They asked
Phil, you want to get in here? You're welcome to show up.
They asked Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy
and see if
all right,
Jackie
don't worry
the man,
about
the myth, and the legend. How's it going, sport? What the hell are you wearing?
I was gonna wear the full outfit, but the mask is completely done, so that's good.
Well, except for the eyes.
Yeah, exactly, and the paint, and the tubes. And
so it's not done.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it is like half done.
Okay, Hungar says, "What the fuck? Why didn't you?"
Is
he's doing the Doctor Who look?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. It looks really good from here. Now put it on and do your best Ultraman impersonation. Ultraman.
Or Giant.
You guys remember that? I love that. And Hungar says, Jack, your dad was late complaining that he doesn't feel good, but I was on time after what I went through last week.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hell, Hungar was doing shows from the hospital.
Also,
what up, GM Johnny? Oh, and get your ass in here. And Justin, I'm gonna see if oh shit, it would help if I actually hit enter.
Where'd Justin go? Or where'd
Justin's around somewhere. What do you call it? I think I can actually do 10 people because I'm doing this on somebody else's thing, if you know what I'm saying. Because I got it's kind of weird. I've been doing. I was wondering why I was able to get away with like more than 20 hours a month for a while, and then I kind of figured it out that our good friend Nathan gave me some special privileges. So I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to stop at 7. I think.
He's going to take advantage of him, huh?
He knows.
Tisk.
Nah. He's my brother, man. He's paying. He don't mind if I reap the benefit. Otherwise,
you're robbing him.
Otherwise, I'll just go into his show and flash him one and bid him farewell. I really don't think I should do that because there's a lot of ladies on that channel. And,
really?
The Quantum Show with Nathan Allen.
I know. See how I worked that in there? So I got you to say it?
Yeah. You're welcome, Nathan. Nathan will probably pop in and say hi as well. Private chat, Rooney. What do we got here? I hope it's not some more flappy tits. Hey, Justin, you can hit the link if you want, bro. See if we can hit 7 people. Oh, there they are. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay. 1.
Omen, what's up? Hey, look at there. Just
All right. Wait a minute. I gotta ask one thing. Brian, do you have my army all paid up?
Okay, where did James go?
Your army? I said
James,
I came
where the hell
from
did you go,
one
man?
dude.
Get back in here.
Wait a minute. I said that I gave you. What did I give you?
Yeah, shit.
0, man. I gave you 0 army. You don't have to pay anything.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Mac wanted to say something. Let's Mac.
Oh.
We're gonna try and be professional here tonight.
No, I was
he's talking
telling
about
James
James.
he can talk over me if he wants because he was trying to say something and he couldn't get it out, so he left.
Oh, James, get your ass in here and Hungar. Yes, we can do it. I've got 10. All right.
Oh, wow.
Well, absolutely freaking crazy tonight.
Who's that? Who's the Triceratops?
James needs to come back.
That from
Triceratops is Hungar. What's up, Hungar? How you doing, brother?
Stay out of other people's affairs.
What?
Nuh-uh.
Hey, what's up, the ferret?
That's no fun.
Hey, Hungar, I'm painting you right now. The little version. Jackie's got the big one to paint.
That's the figure on a Triceratops bear made for me.
That's fucking cool.
That was because I mentioned the Midjourney couldn't get a barbarian riding a Triceratops. And he said, "Oh, really?" And he put it into his AI, but Midjourney keeps on giving me a 3-horned rhinoceros.
In my game, barbarian can have a quadceratops.
You know what though? I was always a Syracosaurus man myself.
Bear uses Midjourney.
No, he doesn't. He uses something else.
No, he uses Midjourney.
No, he doesn't. I talked to him. When he created that, he did not use Midjourney.
What did he use?
What the Midjourney?
Midjourney
program.
It's an AI. Well, no, because we were discussing it, and I said every time I put in Midjourney, he put it in. I don't know. It's the Bing AI or whatever it is.
Oh,
I use Night Cafe.
Yeah. Bing's easy. It's in their browser. It's just off to the side in one of the.
Yeah, but Bing does a better job than Night Cafe or Midjourney for what you want.
Yeah. Well, I always find that it comes out better if you just do it yourself.
Well,
I'm just going to say hi because I'm getting ready to go to bed. My meds are kicking pretty hardcore.
Okay, wait a minute. Hungar, are you at home?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
home.
that's all that matters. If you want to go to bed, you can go to bed. You know?
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, as long as you're not behind the wheel or something.
I've been out for a couple of days now. All I've been doing is sleeping a lot and taking care of my wounds.
Well, good. Now, the problem is that if you're licking your wounds, they're all inside, so that's not helping you.
I have a nurse coming over here Monday to check on my for wound care, and I have a doctor's appointment.
That was quick, ferret.
And then the old lady will be home Wednesday, so she'll be here to help me out.
Good.
So
Is that fair to call your mom old lady? No.
then my boy, young Master Gregory, he's been a really big help since I've been home.
Yeah, how is young Master Gregory doing?
He's doing good. You know, like I said, he's been very helpful since I've been home. Like anytime I get up to do something, it's like he's there hovering over me. I just want to make sure that you don't fall or get hurt or something.
That's good.
Yeah.
And
See
then he
that,
pushes
Jack? When it's my turn.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, we're filling you in, dude.
It's just remember his favorite movie slogans run and he's past 30.
No. It's what movies you're watching. We all know.
See, he knows.
His crystal is definitely red.
Last week, you guys watched that Gay African Americans from Outer Space?
No, we did not. Of course, we did not. Are you kidding?
Should. It's
No.
culturally enriching.
Serious.
Culture.
1992 Outer Space movie is definitely good.
I don't know if enriching is the word I'd use.
See, no blinking lights. I'm good.
We're on to a different movie.
I don't know what you guys are talking
Hey,
about.
I'm
What
watching
movie was it? I
Last
missed it.
Starfighter.
What movie?
Gay
Google 1992 Outer Space movie.
Yeah, they
I'll
don't
see.
use the word African Americans, they use the N-word. So gay N-word from outer space.
Oh, that's
It's more fun if they discover it on their own, Hungar, man.
okay. I'll check it out.
I can send you a link on Discord.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, send me a link. I'll definitely
Yeah.
So-
not
The
say it
main-
on your show.
He already did.
The main
So,
character
so,
is
so,
BJ.
so, Brian, Whenever I say you're done painting my army, that's whatever army you're painting that you expect me to play next time.
I haven't done it. I found a couple of them where your putty was completely dried out. I
warned you. Yeah, like I said, it's better for you to use it than not. But if it's gone, it's gone. That's fine.
Bye. I'm out. Peace, love, chicken grease.
All right, bro.
We'll see you soon, man.
Goodbye.
James, get your ass in here, man.
Yeah, James.
Who's that on?
We're supposed to have 9. This is like Hollywood Squares. You have to.
Yep. That
Jack's
makes you Alice, though, man.
If it's 2-part epoxy putty and you want to extend its life, refrigerate or freeze it when you're not using it.
You don't realize how old that stuff is. That's my whole point. So
yeah.
Jack, who's your avatar?
Jackson, who's your avatar?
He's not there.
Tsar Nicholas, maybe.
No, that looks more like
some Prussian. Who's your avatar? Who's that a picture
it's General Miguel Miramon, former president of Mexico and general who fought on the side of the emperor. He was one of the emperor's top generals. He was also
Napoleon
alongside the emperor. No, Emperor Maximiliano.
Which one?
Maximiliano of Mexico.
Yeah, wasn't that a Napoleon? Or am I off?
No, he wasn't in the West. He was a Habsburg.
Okay. No, I thought there was one that was a Napoleon over there.
No. He was aided by Napoleon, and Napoleon chose him, but he was not related to Napoleon, nor was he even really an ally of Napoleon. Basically, as soon as he took the throne, he started pursuing Mexican interests over French ones.
Yeah, but that was what, in the 1860s?
Yeah, right. Like during the American Civil War, Mexico had its own civil war.
You're talking 1700s? No, I was referring to there was the one in the 1800s.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be the American Civil War.
I thought I kept thinking about.
There were 2 Mexican emperors and 2 Mexican empires. One of them in the 1830s and one in the 1860s.
Yeah, but I mean that's when he had to bring a foreign region over.
Did you guys hear that?
No, I didn't quite catch that last thing that he said.
Heard a little bit of a feedback for a second.
Yeah, there was something.
It's my vortex mixer. I'm going to be using it a lot, and I was wondering if people can actually hear it.
Yes, we could, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, you can just barely hear it.
So fancy a vortex, but you can't just shake it.
No.
Well, after last week's show, he needs to make sure.
No, it's all right. I mean, it's not like you turned your vibrator on. That's about it.
That's what I was alluding to. Because I'm not going to call it that, because God knows it's going to come out of the woodwork if I do that.
You should elevate it so it's in camera, just in case.
You're going to be like a shadow, and the shadow show is going to be like.
At least it's not this anymore.
The college thing to do. Hey, dude, shadow's on. Let's do a fucking short jump.
This is right up there with Space Ghost Coast to Coast for after you've taken a few certain types of illicit drugs.
Drugs are bad. Stay in school, kid.
Bad.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
Unless you're in Canada. I just watched some fucking thing about the Canadian government was like some group, DARP or DARF or some shit.
Yeah, that sounds like a group we'd have here.
It's like trying to push the government to provide heroin, cocaine, meth that's safe.
Oh, it's no such thing.
Oh, so they've got their own California up there.
Yeah.
Much,
yeah.
But it's worse.
Canada just is California.
No.
Look. No offense to you guys, he's got to leave point, but we're just hoping that a certain, as you slide around, you can go full circle.
Oh,
yeah.
You can go full circle into Alaska, so
Oh, Hungar sent me the link to the movie from the 90s that will not be named.
Yeah, it doesn't sound.
1992 outer space movie. Google it, you'll get it.
You guys are more into that than I am because I don't care. You know that's.
You should watch it.
I was watching The Last Starfighter before I came on here. So
Last Starfighter is a great film.
I know. I'm still waiting for the last little bit for the big space battle. I didn't quite time it properly.
I watched Hardware Wars today. Did you guys ever see that? Like the first parody of Star Wars?
There was Hardware Wars. There was Thumb Wars.
As a matter of fact, I saw that about 2 weeks ago. I don't know why it popped up. I'd never seen it before. I watched it. I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. But I bet it was great back in the day.
It's pretty funny.
You guys ever seen Star Warped?
No.
It is very funny. It's a claymation parody, and they roll everything in there. Aliens, Predator, Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar. It's ridiculous, and it's pretty funny. Look it up, man. Spock and Kirk are the main characters.
Leave the show. If you want, but we can do that tomorrow.
Did James leave in a huff? Like he was pissed?
No, I think he was just joking for the whole thing.
Okay.
Because James does not. He just keeps on talking. So
I just sent him a message to get his ass back in here.
We gotta have our
something probably came up.
Australian Commonwealth representative isn't here. We got our Canadian representative.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Jackie had to come upstairs, but okay.
He is a veteran of the Emu Wars.
Dun, dun.
All three of them.
Yeah.
Dun.
That's my story. That's how he got injured. He got pecked in a battle.
I had a friend that actually got attacked by emus.
I'm getting attacked by a goofball dog here who really wants to be on the show.
Albino Chewy.
Well, see, here's the problem. You put the dog, it's like dogs and children. If you do that, the rest of us just all disappear.
Yeah.
Does that dog talk, dude? It looks like the dog from Boy and His Dog.
You know what? He is very vocal and very handsy.
All he needs to do is go.
Yeah,
He finds the women. You smell any women around? I love that movie. That's a great movie.
A boy's dog.
It's amazing on how low our standards are for some movies. I've seen it like twice. I'm like, okay, that was too many. That was twice too many times in my life.
I thought it was great.
You didn't like
what you guys are talking about?
The only thing I liked about it is when they ate his girlfriend at the end.
At the very end, yeah.
She was annoying.
She was fucking annoying.
I never saw it.
High-tech power armor, huh?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Man, you just ruined it, man. Come on, we're having a good time.
Yeah, we're digressing into dog movies.
A Boy and His Dog
Time to
is
bring
not
it
a
back
dog movie.
No, it really
It's a
isn't.
post-apocalypse movie that they based the Fallout series on.
Yeah, I don't care.
You know what? I actually.
You know what happens to dogs in a post-apocalyptic setting? They become food.
They
No, they
become
don't.
telepathic.
That's only That's only Antarctic explorers.
No, I'm eating both my dogs. That's why I keep them fat.
No. I just let my dog know that every time it was going to misbehave, there was the oven right there, ready to go. 15 years later.
Still well behaved.
Well.
Yeah, this guy's he's pretty good. It was funny. Hey, what's up, Al? We're having
he's
dinner.
been-
We were having dinner tonight, and Jackie couldn't hear it, but he was just letting out this most pitiful whine of like, oh my
I know.
God.
I heard.
You heard? It was the funniest, most pathetic, pitiful sound I have ever heard because we were having, dinner and it was chicken and he's a dog. He knew what we were having. Yeah, it was quite amusing.
Remember the Fox and the Hound as kids when he goes, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." That was cute as fuck.
Yep. I remember that.
That was a great movie, man. That got me in my feels as a boy.
So what about power armor for dogs? What do you think? Yay or nay?
Nay.
Isn't that what we were trying to do before our whole thing died for the GURPS? I'm all for it, but the problem is that you get dynamite.
Hell yeah, dude, that was awesome.
You start putting like rockets on it and extendable legs and
head shoots out and tail springs and shit. That was cool.
How did I not have Coriolis? Darn it. I'm looking up my various games for all of their different power armors.
Yeah, I'm looking at 5 parsecs from home on your recommendation there, Omen. The seller on eBay actually offered me a decent price, like $27, including shipping. So I'm probably going to have that.
So here, this is what you do, Omen. You just, Shadow, you just find either the Parsecs or Frostgrave or any other fucking recreation of that guy, and it's the same fucking rules. It's just set in a different setting.
War Against the Darkness, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked at Frostgrave. You know, I like to try different systems out. So
yeah, I want something with a little bit more role play action than just skirmish. 5-7 dudes against 5-7 dudes.
Well, that's what role-playing games are for. You play that. Well, that has kind of RP elements to it. You can create stories between each one, but it's a solo game. I mean, who you can be role-playing with, unless you go like me, myself, and die. Where you going to do each of the voices?
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Although, I after watching a bunch of Jay Moore videos, I don't know if you guys remember him. He's a comedian. And some Christopher Walken stuff. I'm going to try and be able to do a Christopher Walken impersonation by the end of the year. So I've got to watch every Christopher Walken movie of all time.
It's done a lot.
It's not every
you're just gonna watch True Romance and
yeah.
You gotta watch.
Give yourself a couple of minor strokes, and you should have it.
Deer Hunter and
no, just True Romance.
Hey, don't you be talking smack on James. Well, James is a great guy.
Taco Bell.
I don't think that was the point of that comment. I think it was
he doesn't like solo games. You know what?
Well. Here's the problem, El. If all you're doing is coming online, not playing any games, you're kind of masturbating anyway. So
that's playing.
I read that comment wrong.
Solo was how I got the little guy into gaming. He was watching me and he's like, "What are you doing? Playing a game?
Playing Army Man.
Playing with myself.
That's
you
right.
Be in here while I do this.
I'm all for that.
I get in trouble.
I remember a buddy of mine, his wife used to say, "Are you guys playing with your little men's? Your little men's?"
You know what? That's only because she, they had the two things just like in Spaceballs, and they're like, "Oh, helmet, blah blah blah, but you're so strong and handsome."
What the fuck just happened?
Have you ever watched Spaceballs?
It's a play scene in Spaceballs with a dark helmet.
Yeah,
remember he's playing with the princess doll and the Darth helmet doll.
Yeah,
they're having a love scene
in Lone Star,
and somebody walked in on him.
Yeah,
I do not remember that scene whatsoever.
Oh, you got to rewatch the movie, dude.
You know what? We're doing the year of we can throw it in there if you guys haven't already done Spaceballs.
You guys have not done Spaceballs. I'm not a part of that group anymore.
Because you don't like Spaceballs?
No, I want to watch Spaceballs.
There's nothing stopping you from watching the movies we do.
You can do it.
I just haven't been doing that. And if you watch Spaceballs, I will probably watch Spaceballs.
What we're saying is, Shadow, you're failing as a father by allowing your son not to watch Spaceballs.
I'm just
Shadow,
saying.
have you fucking watched Ice Pirates yet?
No, of course I haven't.
Well, it's gonna be on the list, so
that's what I figured. Because if I like, for example, if I watch it right now and it comes up in 6 months, I won't watch it. I'll just try to go from memory, and I'd rather just not do that.
I'm having
Shadow. How many books have you read in the last 3 months?
10, 20.
There you go.
Shut up. Have you really?
That's why he doesn't have time for movies.
Yeah. And I'm not including comic books, otherwise it would be in the like 120.
But I've read a bunch of books too, and still watch movies.
Hustler doesn't count.
I don't have.
They were Penthouse love letters or whatever it was.
Do they still make that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard.
I think it was Hustler that had the
Nice.
like amateurs or whatever.
I have no idea what any of you guys are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie does though.
Wow, you know, I just thought of something. How much have those magazines had to change in the past 3 years with all the stuff going on?
Well, you know, it's interesting because like
You
a
mean
lot
like
of the,
COVID or
a lot of
other
the porn magazines of the 80s.
I mean, like all the
originally
gender
they were
fluidity.
They were pulp men's mags like Swank and Men and all that shit. Those are like pulp like action magazines in the 50s and 60s. But when the like late 70s and 80s hit, they turned into like a porn format.
Yeah.
You're talking about like heavy metal?
No,
No,
metal
like
porn.
Oh, heavy metal
Playboy.
had tons of that.
Oh bullshit! It's
It was
naked
art.
people.
It wasn't
I mean,
porn.
it's not porn.
It's not porn. It just has lots of sex scenes all in there.
Well, I mean, shit. Movies have sex scenes, and it's not porn.
Yeah, just try watching Spanish television. I dare you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm walking by the
I'll send you
downstairs
some links
TV,
to real porn.
and I'm just like, holy shit, what? Oh yeah, I'm in the middle of a show. I better get back to the show.
Those are great, man. Those with the telenovelas, what are they called?
Yeah,
Telemundo.
telenovelas. That's how they're pronounced.
Telenovas. Yeah, those are great.
Telenovelas.
Telenovelas.
So
Yeah,
high-tech power armor.
Yeah. I was getting there.
You know, who had the best, the Mexican that had the greatest power armor was Santos. He didn't need power armor, man. That motherfucker was just boom. You ever watch these Santos stuff, Jackie?
Isn't he a wrestler?
The wrestler?
Yeah, I watched.
Even Omanal wants on the top.
What do they call those guys? Humidors, Yugadors,
Luchador.
He was awesome.
Luchadors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humidors. They call them humidors. So whenever you grab their arm, a cigar
I'm
comes
afraid
out
to
of one of
ask
their
what you've been
orifices.
smoking if you're viewing them as humidors there, Justin.
Been hanging out with Connell too much. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Chick can't handle his weed, is what it is.
You've all been hanging out.
I'm gonna since we keep on dodging around everything because everyone's afraid to actually talk about power armor. Which
Oh, we
We're
got
not
last
do you
afraid.
like power
We
armor the
just know-
best?
We just know the second one of us starts talking about it, a penis is going to come up on screen.
That's only if Shadow lets these people in
I'm
without
not
vetting
letting
them
anybody
first.
in but James L. We're at 6. We can do 7. James, I sent you a message. If you watch this later, we're all waiting for you to get your butt back in here.
Remember, this is James from the future. James the present doesn't know these things.
Yeah, James from the present's only like 3.
Yeah. James from the present's like 17 hours behind. James of the future.
Nerds, I would love for you to come on the show and explain that to us.
Right. I there's a nerd. You know what? Can we let a nerd in if she wants?
Yeah, the link's up there if she wants to pop in. I can do 10 now, apparently. So what the hell? Let's just make it completely
Oh no!
chaotic.
The Shadwood chat were already chaotic enough.
Nah. We can go more. Trust me.
And you have to be on topic. We're talking about dogs,
We are not talking about dogs.
humidors, movies
Talk
from the
where we-
80s, maybe, and
Well,
porn mags.
we Okay. All right. In 30. is what
Okay,
she
30
said.
minutes.
By then we should have it devolved into something completely different.
No, by then we might actually be on topic.
You got that right.
So
This-
What's your
what
favorite
exactly
episode
were
of
you guys
Baywatch?
talking about last Saturday? I'm assuming there was a part 1.
regular armor.
Yeah, we were talking about high-tech armor. The
No, you weren't. You were
materials.
talking about blue people. That's what you were talking about.
No,
we
we
were
were talking
talking
about
about-
armor, and then everyone keeps on getting sidetracked.
So
when we're
in a
just playing.
particular game
Hey,
or
what's
a
up,
particular
everyone?
genre or just
Oh.
the whole running the whole gambit? What?
Real
Yeah,
life.
we stopped right before power armor because I wanted to do part 2. Nerds, she goes with with BattleTech Elementals. Not bad, not bad. I don't know enough about the Elementals. I mean, I played a bunch of
Well,
BattleTech.
you will in about 27 minutes.
They were a knockoff of Starship Troopers.
Right. I was gonna actually suggest that we start with Starship Troopers, the original power armor. You know that not the original. I'm sure.
No, I was about to say, yeah.
Probably the most famous.
So, are you talking about power armor that's in just a protective capacity, or that enhances, ability, cybernetic implants?
Yes, yes, Mac.
Okay.
We aren't limiting it. We're basically it's a one-man suit, is what we're trying to say here.
Right. I wanted to actually start with, what do you think would be the source of the strength and the added, enhancements physically, maybe speed wise and everything? Do you think it would be like hydraulics or something new, or, because gears and clockworky crap like that, that we've seen in the past?
That's exactly how it's going to work.
I hate that crap.
I don't buy it, but I also have a hard time thinking that we could get hydraulics that could do that in a suit like say Iron Man or something like that. Even with electronics, I'm just not buying it. What
I think linear actuators would probably be.
Yeah, I was going to say actuators like in BattleTech.
Have you guys seen
maybe.
Have you seen the General Dynamics stuff that they have?
No.
Go look at it. I mean, we're all talking here. So what you should do is go look at I think it's the General Dynamics talking about with their robots.
I thought it was Boston Dynamics.
What is it? Boston Dynamics? Anyway,
Yes,
the ones
Boston.
where they show them dancing and everything.
Right,
Oh,
I've
yeah,
seen those.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, I think that they have some
Or
hydraulics
jumping
in
from
them.
block to block.
Is that the one where like the guy kicks him and it like stumbles and he gets back up and does whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're doing a lot of that, and I mean that's probably very similar to what you're going to see. I've also seen where the military's been doing stuff. The real question, like Shadow was talking about, is it's less of the technology, whether it's hydraulics or actuators or stuff like that. The real issue is what is your power supply and how long does it last for reality?
That is the next thing is
nuke.
L's joking with the arc reactor armor Iron Man. Even if you had the power source, let's just go for a second. You've got a reasonable amount of power. What's going to actually give it, the kind of strength that we've seen throughout all the different iterations of power armor, to where you could, lift a car like it's,
machines are strong, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, the internal and external structure, has got to be solid to start with, and then you just got to figure out how you're going to power it. But one thing you got to keep in mind, though, too, is it's only going to be able to go so fast. You brought up speed earlier. It's going to be limited to the living creature that's inside it. For example, if it runs, you might be able to make something that can take slightly longer strides, or if it's propelling itself by locomotion, it's only going to be able to go as fast as your legs can physically move inside the suit. So,
well, if we're talking like Starship Troopers, their legs weren't inside the legs of the machine.
Well, if it's that big, but I'm
right.
I assumed we were thinking something smaller, like an Iron Man.
For the beginning, I want to kind of keep it to not making you more than maybe a foot and a half taller.
So let's pick this, which is it has to be less than 10 feet tall, which is pretty reasonable for a lot of stuff for your power armor, which is still smaller than a car. I mean, that's and then what else are you gonna?
What about like Robotech? Would that be armor, or would that be like?
Well, they had armor, but Robotech, most of the stuff is definitely a mech.
RoboCop.
RoboCop, yes. The Cyclone,
cybernetics.
Yes.
I mean, he's still
basically.
If you're missing those lower limbs, for example, and you've got full cybernetic, replacements, then it doesn't matter. You can run as fast as you want. But if you're like inside the suit, there has to be limitations, otherwise you get damaged.
So I'm gonna mention this much. Apparently, the U.S. military did something in the 1960s where they did have walking vehicles, And the problem, like Mac is talking about, is the problem that they found out is that it tired the operator out too fast, and it wasn't considered useful. Exactly for what you're saying. But we're talking about this stuff, but in many ways, the real question is if you're loose and it's running, it's doing most of the work for you.
Yeah, you just have to keep up with it.
Yeah, and how fast can you go? If you're not building up something really high, you're not getting a lot of resistance, then you might be able to go 20, 25 miles an hour.
I think with power armor, what you're going to get eventually is more like endurance as opposed to speed.
Endurance and a lot of armor. I could see them being deployed on directly on a battlefield, within a certain area and just dominating. But if they've got to go like on a long distance, and do it fast, they could run into problems.
I think more realistically, power armor is. I think it's going to be more needing not so much protection, but like carrying fucking weapons and equipment. You know what I mean? I mean, of course,
like the loaders and aliens.
Well, I mean, people want to, the military wants to protect their soldiers. Yeah. But they don't want to like encase them in armor and all that bullshit because it's expensive.
Or do they?
Like, no. They are trying. They're trying. I mean, I've seen what they've done, and they have given them increased lift capability.
Well, sure, but the thing is, they're never going to do it. It's too expensive to do a whole military covered in fucking armor.
Yeah, what is that?
They're trying to go for
at least half $500 million a piece. That would just be ridiculous. You might as well just build more tanks.
If you give them these frames, they can carry all this equipment, big ass weapons and ammo, and not be fatigued. So I think realistically, it'd be more like that than trying to encase your troops in armor.
I'm going to bring this up. It isn't you're talking about the whole army. You don't put the whole army in there. You put in your special
units.
You put in your special units like that lead in front. I know that the U.S. military was working a little bit different. I was working on
like
robots.
Cyber SEAL Team 6.
We're almost trying to work with the dogs. No, you go for Delta Force, not SEAL Team 6. SEAL Team 6 doesn't have necessarily the best reputation.
Even for
there's some issues that my father dealt with them. It's very similar to Marines versus Army. Marines have the esprit de corps, but they take much more horrendous casualties because that's the mentality, which is it's not a good way for soldiers in many ways. And, there's this mentality like, yeah, we'll do it. Like, dude, you shouldn't be taking these. You should be taking like half the casualties you're supposed to.
Now, all I'm saying is, if you're gonna deploy power armor, you're gonna give it more armor than they did in the Day After Tomorrow, because that made no fucking sense whatsoever.
Are you talking about the Day After or the Edge of Tomorrow?
The Edge. I think the both titles for the same movie.
No, the Day After Tomorrow is a different one.
Yes,
like
you're
Earth
right.
and human-based technologies, because once you get into aliens and stuff like that, then everything is wide open.
What about bio armor?
I can see that. Well, that's the real question. Is if we're going to go for this transhumanism, which is where I think that a lot of the stuff talks about. I think
there's a difference between straight up transhumanism and military application of different technologies.
Well, he's saying bio armor, which you're probably talking about stuff actually changing people's genetic, DNA.
Maybe, or it could be something as innocuous as like those armored suits that the aliens were wearing in Independence Day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because when I hear bio armor, I don't think.
Who's going to turn into a bio armor? I mean, what is the hook on that? Say, hey, join the fucking U.S. military. We'll turn you into a bio weapon. You'll be half kangaroo and fucking armadillo.
Hey, dude! There are enough people out there that are doing weird crap that you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
he's one of them.
For me, that's why I always hated cybernetics and any of that sort of enhancements.
Brian loves cybernetics. He wants that ball gag attachment real bad.
Wow. Come on, Justin.
No. I mean, the problem is with we're talking about cybernetics.
You
if
know
really
I'm
look
not
at
wrong.
Most of them is if you lose a leg, what are you going to replace it with? You're probably going to put
More
in a
cybernetics.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's different. I mean, it's because of you've been damaged, but I mean, you're talking about like engineering people into a new thing. I mean, who's going to do that shit?
Hey,
Who's
dude,
gonna
if you'd
get
asked me this 10 years ago about who wants to change into a woman, that's, I mean,
No, that's
I mean,
different.
yeah.
I mean, that's like
No,
it's
that's not
there. They
different.
want to be that, but I mean, you're turning someone into like, and then
There
they got
are
to follow the
people,
military.
man.
What's
Yeah,
afterwards?
you
You're
said
armored-
that who would want to do
you're a
that? I just gave
kangaroo
you a
turtle.
perfect example.
And you
Yeah,
you're
we
not
all did
military
when we
to
were
do that.
children in the 70s. We all wanted to be Steve Austin, if I recall.
Yeah, but that was only because there was a bionic woman. So that
Exactly. But I mean, it could be something just as simple as that. They call it bionics. We call it cybernetics. But
Well,
I mean, some people might choose to do that if they're told, up front, we could put you in the military and you can go do this, be a rifleman, or we've got this really cool special unit over here. And
Like,
Okay.
you're
if you
telling
live
me
long
there are-
enough, you'll retire a zillionaire. I mean, you could talk some people into it.
I'm going to be one. I'm going to be one above that. It's going to be like, okay, guys, if you start looking at it, let's take my father for example, whose knees are breaking down and everything else. There's the kind of person's like, you know what? I'd be happy to be cybernetic.
right.
Why does everyone have to be at the peak of their physical life when you're like, you know what? This probably does better when you're doing it near someone at the end of their life. Like, we can replace your knees and your elbows and your shoulders. It's like, hey, would you like some cybernetics? Yeah, I got a cybernetic heart.
I just realized something. Besides all his bluster and talk, Brian is actually a very innocent heart. He's never heard of a furry before.
I don't.
Oh shit!
A what?
Wait, have you not?
But no, I mean, if you look at a lot of
Well, he doesn't know who would take the bio freaking modifications.
Yeah, furries aren't like mechanical
No,
furries.
no,
They're like
we're talking the
zippers in the front and back
biotech,
furries.
man.
we're talking about
There's no one that's gonna
biotech and
dog boy.
cybernetics, and we gave you perfect examples of where it would be. And I knew I met a nurse years ago who was talking about there's a lot of people with body dysmorphia. In some cases, they would rather be cripples because they're like, oh, I want to lose an arm. I'm like, look,
Yeah, I've actually heard of that. That's creepy as hell.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're not going to find enough people like that to form a core of some sort of military thing.
would be surprised.
Let alone a cohesive unit of fighters.
Especially with indoctrination, you'd be surprised how many.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 years ago, I would have agreed with that. But today, dude, there's a lot of batshit crazy kids out there. I bet you could field at least a couple of divisions.
You just need to send one FBI
divisions.
guy into a Discord group to start talking people into things.
Well, but I mean, but you don't need a.
But the problem is most of the people who would be into this sort of thing aren't the kind of people who would be interested in joining any sort of military.
Exactly, they're not going to join the military.
But
If
also,
you told them they could have cybernetic limbs and be cool, I bet.
Even if they wanted to, they'd suck at it anyways.
Well,
It's like, sure, you're giving them all this cool stuff, but what are they going to do with it? I mean, sure, you can give the most pathetic retard on the planet a cybernetic body, but it's not going to. Well,
you don't understand, man. When you get all of these people together and you put them on the battlefield against Russia, they'll become a fur pile, and that will repulse the Russians to the point of surrender.
Yeah, if nothing else, it might slow down their APCs a little bit.
So here's the thing that everyone forgets about is you're all acting like you have to field divisions of these, and you don't. You only have to field a couple of companies. You only have to field a couple of companies.
I guarantee you couldn't fill a company of people thinking like that.
You can fill a company of 200. That's only 200 people.
I know it is.
Yeah.
With 200
What
people
about more
that are
than
combat
200
effective
people?
that are willing to do this, I don't see it.
You just go to the local fur convention and you say, hey guys, we'll do this to you for real, but you gotta serve. And you'll get like 10, 20 people each time.
yeah, maybe they have like super strong bodies now or whatever, but they're still a gay furry in their brain. So why would you want That
Have you seen the United States Armed Forces and government?
Yeah.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah, they just promoted some dude in a dress to the Space Force Lieutenant Colonel or something. It was I'm thinking furries might actually be a step up.
Yeah. At least
So check this
out,
furries
guys.
are
Hold on.
willing to get
Furries might be a step up is the show's new slogan.
But
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you know,
Legion
you guys
of
are trying
Myth,
to act
where
like
are
all
you
this
when I
stuff
need you, brother?
is we've given you perfect examples. You can get the elderly, which are getting body replacements anyway, so they're not too worried about having kids anymore. And then you know,
but they might forget where they put their parts.
Yeah, man, that's another thing. You're talking about physical. If you're 80 years old and they replace your body, that's fantastic. But you're still 80-year-olds in the brain. That might,
They might have ways to fix the
aging and shit.
Alzheimer's. And,
Guys, I think you
racism.
guys helped me come up with the solution. Why would we bother any of this when we could just advance the robotic technology?
Exactly.
They're
Just
gonna
drone
do that.
everything.
They're
well,
gonna give that little white guy
Well,
a gun and
they're well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but there's two reasons. One is if you're actually in a big battle, you're not going to have any satellites, so you have almost no control over them.
Who says you need control if the
you want
built-in
control?
Oh, dude, they're
You
furries. You
all
got to have
Terminator,
control.
bro.
No, if the soft,
No. If they're
built-in
robots, are
software
you talking
is-
about robot furries? That's a whole different thing.
Oh,
Damn.
Oh, no.
I haven't even seen that shit.
why would you go? If you could put in the software where you don't need satellites, or why does the satellite have to be up in orbit? Why can't it, be maybe potentially underground like a tunneler or just another robot?
Yeah, there might be
that
some
protect-
new tech that is able to, issue orders or whatever.
Right, the
Because-
ordering hardware could literally be just another robot that's like an officer bot that's got a limited range and everything.
Oh, I hate those
tries to
officer
save-
bots.
Well, again, you're trying
Nice
to say
cow.
if you're going towards AI, then the question is why would you need humans at all? And if you don't need humans, then the real question comes down to is how are humans able to compete against robots that are attacking them? Which is going to go back to our power armor discussion.
And we're back
again.
to Skynet.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. And I'm okay with Skynet as long as it delivers me a summer glow.
I
It's funny. It's like, we talk about how these drones can, turn on their masters and all that shit until their battery runs dead. Until they run out
It's
of fuel.
nuclear, motherfucker.
Yeah,
They got hands.
nuclear power
They know how
cells.
to replace them.
Wait a minute. If we're going to talk about power armor, did we all watch Matrix Revolutions?
No.
No,
We
Yes.
don't recognize the existence of those films.
Agreed.
I watched the first three and I loved them all.
What?
The fourth
Oh,
one
I should
sucked.
have stopped after one, man.
Yeah.
know what? The
But it
first
was
one was
good. For what it was good.
I got mad because exactly what they were talking about. Why wouldn't you put armor plates in front of it instead of putting the human being?
Exactly. The biggest in wargaming, right? In wargaming, fucking Warhammer. You have all these fucking space marines, right? And they don't have their fucking helmet on.
Yeah, well, that's
Hey.
that's
All
just
my
'cause the
space marines had their
modelers.
helmets on, damn it. All of mine did. Because
Yeah.
you don't take it off unless you're just trying to...
It's just
you know.
ridiculous.
That's because
That's
you got to
happening
roll a
right
one
now.
for a headshot.
These giant war walkers and all these badass, and they have an opening where the guy's head is in there. It's just the head.
Yeah,
It's not
I can
armor
t-
plate. It's not a fucking hatch.
They
It's
have
just-
a helmet, man. People like having the painting options of heads. That's the only reason why they're available.
Again, this comes down to sometimes why I don't like 40K. I like some of the ideas in 40K, which basically stole everything from
They're just
Dune
stolen
and
it.
Starship
Yeah, they're all
Troopers
stolen.
and a lot of other stuff. But I'm cool with that. Anyway, but that's what he's talking about. Well, remember, a lot of them also have, if we're going to talking about power armor, do we include force fields in here?
not yet.
yeah.
I think that's totally different.
Personal shields.
Yeah,
Once
That's
you
next
get to
week's
that kind of
episode.
Tech level or technology, you could potentially make armor obsolete. At least the more advanced armors. It's like, why? You've got this thing. Just build everything into the force field. unless the force fields happen to have vulnerabilities or limitations, like the slow blade type of thing, and then
So Shadow, did you see the? Well, you haven't watched the new Dune movie. Go look at that and how they're armored.
I'll get right on that. You hold on a minute, guys.
Yeah, I got 6 hours to kill.
No. But I mean, if you look at the new movie, at some point we're going to watch it before the second part comes out. So if you look at
the first movie, I haven't seen the second one.
The second one comes out in November.
Oh, okay.
But no, my point being is that if you look at it, they're wearing the full body armor because they also have the shields, but the shields are vulnerable to the slow blades, so you have to have the regular armor underneath to stop the slow blades.
And if that's what you're worried about, all it takes to stop a slow blade is
boiled leather,
right?
Ball gag.
Or
ball gag.
Brian.
Well, ball gag stocks everything.
They hate you so much.
That is against God. Hate is bad.
Yeah, he'll whip himself later for it. He's into that kind of thing.
You better not be.
I don't hate you personally. I hate what you represent.
Yeah, that sounds like some copium right there.
Anyway, but I mean, we're talking about some of this, but sometimes you want to combine the two. That's why I was asking if you could include, the force field aspect, which even 4K had that, but it was kind of a flicker kind of thing. It would flicker
I do like the Dune idea where, the force fields deflect fast moving projectiles, force weapons, laser weapons or whatever. But the slow blade gets through, which is cool. There's a reason why you want to engage in close combat and have that skill, because that is a fucking tactic that defeats this badass armor. So you're
not only that, I think
run towards the enemy and stick a sword in his throat.
I think the physics would be there as well. If you've got a force field, then you're not moving. You know what I mean? It might very well be sort of somewhat anchored to the ground, and fat lot of good you are if you can't move. And if you could move, walking type of thing, then you could probably have slow things come through the force field because the force field is slowly moving through other things.
Now, I could be off on this, but I think also part of the reason they did that was to allow small molecules in and out so they could breathe, because they could turn it up high enough that would turn it off, but then they would suffocate inside of their force field. So it's
you don't want that, man.
What's that?
You don't want that.
Yeah. That kind of makes unless you've got an oxygen tank with you, then sure.
And that's the other part. When we're talking about all these suits, when we're talking about armor and stuff, and really, the question is, you want to stop a certain level of weapon, and okay, well, what level do you want to stop? In most cases, you can get soft armor, which will stop, regular bullets, as far as from handguns. But once you get up to the higher stuff, then you get into the heavy plates. And when you start getting those heavy plates, if you ever saw the EOD guys, and their armor's 120 pounds.
Yeah. We've actually got a poster of them in the garage.
And they wear the big giant helmet, and they're all moving through. That's where you'd probably use a lot of your modern power armor. Which look, I only need you to have enough armor on there for a couple of hours. I don't need you to run around all day for it. And that makes a lot of sense for them. It's oh, okay, we found a bomb. Well, take the suit out, suit up, and so that and that would be the other thing is what tech levels are we looking at? I think that we're pretty close to getting our big problem are batteries in most cases. And I saw that Elle did talk about nuclear reactors. I'm not sure how small a nuclear reactor can get. And still be useful.
The smallest ones we have now are roughly 2 feet by 1.5 feet cylinder.
What?
Yeah, but are you talking about tech today, or are you talking about?
Those already exist. They're going to start rolling them out for chain plants in the next decade or so. They're just in red tape.
I saw something about mini reactors. I just don't know how big they're going to be.
The ones I seen were about the size I said. Maybe
Well,
a
I know
little
that
bigger,
they're,
but
you
not
know, what we
much.
think are so big, but a lot of it's shielding.
That's
The shielding
potentially
is what takes up a lot
man-portable.
of-
That is definitely
we
man
just-
portable.
totally
It's just,
man
it's just
portable.
shielding, right? Like that. Like
That's even woman portable.
Yeah, I mean, in the 80s, you know, the Ghostbusters got it down to the size of a backpack, more or less.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And they were Ghostbusters.
And if they're not really worried about the repercussions, because I'm seeing a lot of potentiality for, I hate to say this, but more or less suicide weapons.
Mhm.
You know, especially if your COs and whatnot are actually in charge of certain codes and things like that within your powered suit. It's like detonate, or he's bleeding out, pop him off, and suddenly he goes thermonuclear and does more damage by exploding than he would have.
Yeah, but that's against you too, though. More than likely.
Dude,
Well,
why
you-
don't you just
it
drop
would
the
put a
bomb by
fail-safe.
itself?
What, Jackie?
I wanted this comment here. No, those are the old versions. The new ones have plutonium P's in them, and that they do the actual fission.
Wow, Franz 4200 or 42,000. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I don't believe I've seen you before. Jackie, what were you trying to say?
Oh, nothing.
Well, and I see with a submarine, and it depends on your type of reactor. There's the fission reactor. There's the one that's the decay reactor,
Yeah.
which I think is what a lot of the satellites are using. And then you use and then you have the final part, which is the fusion reactor, which is what we're still trying to work on. And I honestly think that they're trying to, whenever we're talking about fusion reactors, the great thing about a fusion reactor, unlike what it shows in movies, is once you stop the reaction, it turns off. It's not like it'll explode. So.
Who works on that shit? Who's thinking up that shit? Like what?
That would be nuclear physicists.
It would be
Yeah.
the EP. It would be the. It's not. What is it? The Department of Energy is what it is. The DOE that's doing stuff like
In
that.
your country.
which is actually a pretty important, believe it or not, agency.
It's only important because they decided to put all the military stuff under it, so it would actually have reason to get money. It's not like you can't shut it down. The DOE is I had a boss that was working for him, and he said literally what they do is he said, how do I describe this? There's a stump in the middle of the woods, and they go over there and they put a big bag of money on there, and they walk away. When they come back, if the money's all gone, they put another big bag of money and walk away. It's not that you can't do some things, but a lot of stuff, I've tried dealing with a little bit, and I've actually worked with, I guess, FERC is technically considered under them, but everything went over there, so you can't shut it down. Like, yes, you can. But most of the stuff was taken from the U.S. military, and it has to do with the nuclear waste and what they do with that. But there's some cool stuff that they're talking about. The question is just how big, and it depends on whether you're using steam or not. There's a lot of different things in there. And actual nuclear reactors usually aren't that big. Like I said, it's usually all the shielding and everything else.
Yes.
Size.
The thing I was reading over with the small ones, it was replacing the separated rod function that they do now with more self-contained units that would sit inside the pre-existing shield and take out that way it would be easier to remove and store for disposal. But I wouldn't be surprised if that like you're pulling out the whole reactor for disposal instead of just the rod, because that's the money sink is pulling the rods out for.
Well, technically, you can if you're willing to get one that's pretty bulky, you can get a generator on there to generate enough and just pour in diesel.
You can go that route. Have a coal powered mech suit.
You mean hydrocarbon?
Yeah. Well,
No,
no, I was just thinking it would be funnier if it was a coal plant. If you're going that route, you might as well go the comedic one.
It's pretty retro.
Well, just remember, coal gives off more radiation to the surrounding environment than nuclear reactors do.
Yeah,
that's the funny thing about them. But no, there's a lot of stuff in there, and that's the questions. How do you want to power them? And then that's our technology level again. So if we'll just assume that it's it's like, okay, well, how many generators? And it's just like regular vehicle. If you're going to treat it like that, it's like, all right, pour it in the back.
Well, I love these electric cars that are hooked up to coal generators.
I know. Well, and the problem that you have is that you're losing more efficiency in many cases by doing that.
Yeah.
That's but you get some of the cool stuff in there. I guess here's and I saw Elle mention deep sea dye for armor. I think part of it is let's talk about, while we're also talking about like how much damage it can take, let's talk about the accessories that would go on it.
Oh, freaking I just watched the thing where they were talking
hardware,
about,
because that's ultimately the goal, isn't it?
Definitely.
The more the trooper or the unit can carry, the more efficient or the more
deadly they can
options you have.
I just watched a thing where they were talking about how the Toyota van or truck is the most versatile military tool ever invented, and then it showed an accessory for a rocket launcher.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is
like it was an option you could buy from the dealer.
Well, not in this country, but
hey, Mexico, you can. You just have to get with the great cartel.
And Jackie knows the guy, right, buddy?
Ukraine, if you work with Ukraine, it's like they'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah, they're all over the Mideast.
I mean, Shadow has
Toyota trucks come with a 50 or a 12.5.
You got to be a little louder.
Pinto mount.
You have first-hand experience.
Hey, you know what? It's the U.S. military. They're so worried about disarming us while they give weapons to everyone else in the world that they shouldn't have them. Part of it is the environmental sealant, which is fantastic if you're looking at that. When we're talking about weight, that would be awfully nice if you can go in a chemical environment. You can go in a some kind of hostile environment, whether it's water or vacuum or anything else.
Yeah, I would like more layers than just 1/4 millimeter pink or green or yellow plastic between me and the chemical environment.
Well, auto sealing, we wanted to auto seal for that.
Yeah, you get that every third layer.
It's there's that. The other part is when we're talking about power armor, in some cases you may not need a lot of time again, but you may want that strength if you're trying to carry heavy equipment or things like that. The ability to like having the equivalent of jaws of life. And I don't know if anyone else has dealt with this, but boy, when you look at the Humvee doors, when they would, if they fall on the side and how heavy they are, they're usually a couple of 100 pounds. Well, that make a big difference for popping those open so you can get the soldiers out.
You ever see the 1950s robot arm that the mech suit arm? The picture goes around every now and then. The guy's standing there and it's propped up on a stand and he's got his arm in it and it's just a clamp on the other end.
well, you knock it, but don't it's useful for that. It's not all the times do you have to have
the thing's bigger than his entire body.
Oh, geez. Oh, are you talking like the 1980s cartoons? Whenever they would
no. This was like they built this. It was like a black and white photo that goes around every now and then. It's like from the 50s or 60s.
And let's not forget, we do love the jump power part of the armor. The jetpacks that only last a certain amount of time, but that's still pretty cool. That's the other part is, if you're environmentally sealed, depending on how long your air is you don't worry as much if you have to go underwater. So then it's like, what's a river crossing? boy, crossing under a river is a lot safer than crossing on or over the river.
So basically, what we're looking for is man-sized battle mechs.
Well, like we said, anything under 10 feet, a few tons.
Well, otherwise, you would be better off just making, then the sky's the limit. What's to stop them from being 20, 50, 100 feet tall once we get the actual walking
that's
mechanics?
Because they're too big. They're so big that the enemy could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
the
big
enemy
thing
has to
about-
build
yeah, there's a big
some,
thing
and then you
about
start
height.
fighting wars with them, and next thing you know, you're taking over whole planets and swearing allegiance to the House Davian.
Or no, what you're looking at your Adeptus Titanicus when they're coming over, stomping on the little battle mechs. Oh, that's
There's
so
nothing-
cute. Battle mech.
There's nothing wrong with the House Davian. It's one half of a good Star Empire, long live the Federated Commonwealth. May it rise again.
I watched that video we're talking about, and all this started from like the Star Empire, right? It all began
Star
with that?
League.
Star League.
Star League. Is that the Star League from the last Starfighter? Remember?
No,
that
that's
was
a different
totally.
universe,
I think there might be a connection there.
Different
Nope.
star.
Yeah.
Star.
It was, and if you look at it, they basically took the if you look at Alexander Kerensky, I'm like, gee, I wonder where you picked that name from the 1917, 1918.
Yeah, it's not like Alexander Kerensky is the exact same name as Alexander Kerensky.
Yeah, friends. Next to BattleTech, Palladium does have a crap ton of power armor and mechs and the whole bit. We're trying to actually understand how we get there from here, so that we can stage it throughout different RPG settings, because a lot of high-tech games refuse to go any further than the equivalent of battle dress from Traveler. Even Star Frontiers didn't have anything much better than an armored vac suit, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the other question comes down to, do you really need the super heavy power? I mean, so Traveler has it. I mean, I have it open right now, and they do have the all of the different power armors and stuff. But at a certain point, if you're in a ship and space is of a premium, you have to start building bigger corridors and everything else, and then you start reducing your hull. And that's the other question too: is how useful is it once you get past a certain size? And that's why we're trying to keep it a little bit smaller.
Well, if it's your drop armor, right? Like you're not using it in ship, you're only using it in planetary environments.
Yeah,
you can probably have a
it's gonna
specialized room for it.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have your suit up room and your drop room, and that's it. And maybe off to the side somewhere a maintenance bay. Otherwise, wait till you get back to port and fix it there.
Well, you have the other part too that comes down to is if you're trying to do boarding actions on ships, and you're trying to actually capture the ship, you want your armor to be small enough to actually fit down in that. I mean, even in modern day, if you're going to be looking at body armor, it's kind of worthless if you're going to try looking on a freighter or something like that. You don't have a lot of room to go in between the different decks and everything else if you're too bulky.
We have different sizes for different applications.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're going through that, yeah, no, I like Edge of Tomorrow. I did like that one. That's be one of our movies I'm going to pick, just to be fair.
Is that the one with
Edge of
Cruise
Tomorrow?
in it?
Yeah,
it's Tom Cruise, and I like the fact of I like how it starts where he keeps he doesn't know anything. It's Groundhog's Day except with combat armor. That's what I liked about it.
But you know what I mean? It makes no sense, the armor plating. Like, there is no armor plating on those.
Yeah. To me,
It's like a frame.
If you're not going to put armor, the funny part is, and this happened in Black Hawk Down, a lot of them didn't put the plates in the back because they wanted to reduce the weight. And and I'll talk to several Marines in Afghanistan. They had two armors. They had heavy armor and light armor. One of them was about 10 pounds heavier. And so that's the other question. Is like, how heavy do you want your armor for that? And which again comes down to, your size. It's like, okay, well, what, how big do we need our battle armor? And that's, well, okay, does it work for this? If you're in an open battlefield, it's not too, really you just don't want to be tall. That's your only real issue because you don't want to be found out and shot. But
or you have to create some sort of like Mangalore system, where you
pull up that image, Shadow.
Blast your own trenches as you move along. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Damn.
That's the one I was talking about.
Okay, now now the problem I have with this image though is he actually holding that?
This is not the original. There's like a frame that was
on the side of it.
How is he holding that?
If you look, you can still kind of see it behind his arm.
Yeah,
like there's a little disc.
Yeah, otherwise, that arm looks like it weighs more than he does.
It does. It's like fucking 180 pounds or something.
Yeah,
the
Mac armor shit is badass, dude.
I'm not familiar with the Mac armor.
That's it was a sci-fi, like it was a comic book, but then it became a bunch of model kits over the years.
Was it a comic book? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was a comic book, like one of those, like I think it was a comic book first, but it's always been like this badass like set of models and stuff.
Really, you're gonna have to send me a link.
Oh, I'm thinking of Maschinen Krieger.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Maschinen Krieger.
I'm going to bring up the other part too. Is when we're looking at some of this armors, if you're going to be in space or underwater, as long as it's underwater, as long as it's kind of neutrally buoyant, then you don't have to, weight becomes less of an issue. And then the same thing with space. While mass does matter, it's not as important. It's only when you start getting into, like they had in Expanse and things where they did have their power armors. But, and those were interesting. That's the other part. How much, how big of a gun do you want? And do you want everyone to have power armor or just a few of them? And, do you want, it's going to be like, oh, you're just like, you have your heavy squads and your light squads.
Yeah,
you have a couple of heavy power armor in your squad, and then you have all a light armor for the rest. Or do you have like one squad that's heavy and the rest of them all light?
Yeah, well, they did that in Starship Troopers. There was always the command unit, the standards, and then there was a couple of heavy units for like missile barrage or whatever.
Right. Like the ape suit or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there were a couple of different ones, but they weren't that. A lot of it was a communications difference between the two.
Yeah.
And that's the other part too. Is, when we're talking about power armor, and like I said, you're talking about satellites and stuff like this. What you may have is just have, like what we kind of do now, which is you have a couple of units that are out there, and then they're being surrounded by robot armor that they control or they give guidance to.
Okay, Franz, tell me more about this, because this is something I've been thinking about as well. It doesn't have to all be, purely metal, or things like that. We were talking about new materials, ceramics, molecularly bonded alloys, and things like that. Can you elaborate on the rubber muscle suits real quick for us?
Like they wear at Halloween time to make you look all big and stuff?
No, I was thinking like G.I. Joe, the movies.
Well, it's a crisis suit is what they do, which is...
Yeah, it's just branding.
Sure.
It's let's see. They're saying the
because I was thinking about armor the other day, and I was wondering, in the old days, they had layers. You had your steel, your chain, and then under that you had to have a crap ton of padding. Otherwise, the armor is going to hurt you, not the weapon. The mace or the sword that hits you.
It actually wasn't that much. There's you'd wear like a gambeson, and then
gambeson is still pretty thick. I mean,
there had to be something, you know what I mean, and something like a rubber or a sponge type material, with air pockets and things like that. there's going to have to be something like that to protect, your squishy parts and your bones and whatnot from whatever hits the outside, the outermost shell or layer. Maybe some materials are going to come about that, while it's not metal, it's doing the same thing. A lot of our, flak and other protective gear is no longer metal because we found things that'll work just as well, or in some cases better, because of the give and take weight issues and encumbrance and things like that. It's entirely feasible that we're going to. Yeah, they don't show in the chat. Could you just kind of elaborate or?
It's the crisis. Go to. I put the link, but the problem is the two aren't hooking up here. Otherwise, I kick myself off.
Isn't that like an anime or some shit? Crisis?
No, it's a video game.
Oh, okay.
And it was a cool idea. The part of the thing that comes down to whenever we talk about suits with, they're talking about the nano.
I'm going to write that down. And again, welcome to the show.
The nano muscles. So yeah. So that's what we're looking at. So if you get the nano muscles in there, what's actually going to go through it.
Like the sea creatures, the muscles.
No, I'm talking about if you look at it, as your muscles get bigger, there's a certain point where your muscles can keep getting bigger, but you aren't actually getting stronger relative to your size.
Yeah, there's just aesthetic at the point.
Yeah. You can still get. Don't get me wrong. You'll still have a strong grip, but as far as your body weight, you start moving slower, things like that. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not getting the benefits of getting a lot more strength unless you just need purely strength and the ability to take damage, kind of thing. Which is where, if you're neutrally buoyant, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, you got to get ripped for when you get stabbed with a knife.
Yeah, Well, you got to have those layers of blubber to protect yourself.
Yeah, that's a line from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Love that cartoon.
So you've got that. No, I mean, that just depends on how much we want to go for reality. Which we have to be careful sometimes for sci-fi, which is don't let reality get in the way of just having a cool idea and some fun.
I'm totally.
How long do we got to stare at Mr. Clawbot here?
Sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably because the people probably want to watch Mr. Clawbot more than us.
Yeah, but that machining Krieger is pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah.
Those kits are so expensive, man.
Yeah, I bought one. It was like $45 or something like that.
Well, that's not too bad, but
that's like a 1980, dude.
No. Even now, if you catch them on their release wave, right? They're normal prices, but if you don't, you're paying aftermarket, and then they double.
What kind of armor did they use in Halo?
That was just like body armor.
I think that was supposed to be body armor, but since you never see the Master Chief's face, and then it's supposed to give you additional strength and things like that. But the other part that comes down to, and I know we were talking about this last time, is your materials. Your materials are getting better and better to stop a lot of your weapons, but then of course your weapons increase. And they're what level of protection you can get. It's the same thing they always talk about with tanks and armor personnel carriers. Up to the point that the armed personnel carriers basically become tanks because they're so afraid of them getting damaged. But then you're like, well, okay, now we can't take it across bridges, and it doesn't work that well for infantry. So you guys have to play with this back and forth, and that's where I think these larger power suits come into it. Is you're like, okay, guess what? You have
when you take a casualty, it's one guy. Not one vehicle and 18 guys or something like that. It's exactly kind of what I think it's going to get to. If we can make things that, if the endurance or the how far they can travel in a day.
Well, it's true. It's like if you don't need a battle taxi or IFV to get you into the combat where you guys can run for 5 miles to the the point of contact, then that's fucking awesome.
I'm gonna bring up the other part. Is just you can deal with a battle text. Doesn't have to be armored if you have the power armor.
I've told this joke before, but do you know what the Ukraine calls troop transport? A woman that's 5 months pregnant.
Okay. Anyway,
doesn't that joke go the other way around?
No. They were putting women up to 5 months.
No. I know that, but I mean the way you. Never mind.
Anyway, okay.
She's carrying the baby.
Okay.
I get that, but I just thought that you told it in reverse.
They're so desperate for new recruits.
Okay, guys. Let's stop going off on that. Let's not get into it.
Well, it's
Just
a
trying to
power
help
armor of a sort.
Well, it's but no. I mean, if you're looking at it's just like if you look at the like a lot of the Navy SEALs who go out in Humvees with no doors or anything on them. And it's like, okay, all you really need if you're in power armor is you don't need a lot of the protection that you would and that you need from a, like you're talking about, a big giant battle taxi. You know, how many of the military were using those old what are they, 2.5 ton trucks?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you know what I'm actually
the
picturing?
deuce and a half.
Yeah,
deuce and a half.
I'm starting to picture like a hybrid, tracked or wheeled one man freaking amalgamation of a tank and a body armor suit, almost like a freaking centaur, but mechanical. You know what I mean?
The Germans have these really micro tanks now. They still use them.
The
now.
Italians once upon a time, and they
well, okay, that's because they're using them as fucking tanks. But like now,
You mean leopards?
The Germans are using. I can't remember what they're called. They're like
a leopard's about as good as an M1.
No, like the weasels or some shit. They're real small. They're like a 2-man, but it's really just a heavy weapons platform.
Right.
So it's used like tactically it's used that way. It's not used as a fucking tank. It's used to just move heavy weapons around and use them in the traditional fashion of a heavy weapon. And they're really badass.
Well, I mean, if you look at a lot of the stuff like we're talking about, is if you need to go fast and you just get a wheeled vehicle and you just need it to have enough suspension that it can hold the your guys and weapons and equipment. And that's all that really needs to be done. You don't need to armor it. Whereas if you have lightly armored, which most of our guys are very lightly armored, regardless of how heavy in modern day. So you're like, oh, we're trying to protect them. But it's like, well, they shouldn't be shot or they shouldn't be right in the point of combat. They're supposed to be driven to the front lines and then dropped off and then it pulls back. It's like we're trying sometimes to do everything. The other part is, we're talking about power. If your vehicle has the engine capacity and you can charge up the batteries, as long as you're near your vehicle, you keep your armor can still be fully functional. It's only once you lose power, and then the question is making sure you get out of it in time. And I see the Robotech Cyclones. Yes, we all love the Robotech Cyclones with the mini missiles.
Oh my god, those were the best thing Robotech ever created. I freaking love those things. Oh my god. Just the inner kid in me just freaking screams when I think about
see Inner Kid or Venus Wars? Venus Wars, they had those bikes with big cannons on them. That was fucking cool.
What were the one-wheel things?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Venus Wars was a good movie. I saw a movie. I don't know if it was a series that they.
I think it was a movie.
Yeah, because the Japanese do that, right? They'll take a series and then freaking abridge it into a movie.
We do the same thing, and it always sucks whenever they do it.
Yeah, we mostly do it with books, though.
The Americans will sell a movie or a series, chop it up, and send it to a movie to like Europe and like South America and shit like that.
Do we? I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of the like 70s and 80s like television like pilots and like TV movies will be cut up and sent to like different kind of markets.
Well, that'll usually happen with pilots. Like pilots will usually be a movie length.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one. There was one Warlords of Space or whatever.
I know they did that with Battlestar, the Bionic Man, the Bionic Woman. A lot of that shit was.
No, I'm thinking of one that had. You ever watched that? What was that show with the moose?
You mean the one that also had the squirrel?
Moose and squirrel.
No. The one about the. I think it was Northern Exposure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The doctor
Alaska.
or the
Yeah.
not the doctor the
I
radio
used to
guy.
love that show. That was
Yeah.
until the first doctor left, then it was not so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of when it's like, guys, you can tell when it's like, okay, it needs to just finish. Instead, they just want to keep doing it. This is why I think that when Seinfeld and what was Mary Tyler Moore did a good job as far as we're going to end it while we're on top, and instead of getting something like like the like Game of Thrones, you're like oh you ruined you ruined the whole series by the last 2 seasons.
Well, it's because the screenwriters were making up the story.
Yeah, they ran out of source material.
The same thing kind of happened with the TV show Heroes.
Yep.
Which was a great show, but then it ended kind of.
Well, there was the writer's strike, and then they brought it back. And after the writer's strike, it just went downhill. And the other problem is, at a certain point, certain shows are only good for so many seasons until you run out of ideas. It's time to go on. But now the other part, there was a lot of problems with Game of Thrones. But they would even hire other writers, which gets me. It's like you're supposed to have a big writing staff to help you out. They'd complain there was too much work. We were tired. Like, why didn't you hire more writers? We didn't want to hire more writers. Okay, you're dumbass.
That's why you're tired. You're supposed to hire
exactly.
people to job.
But no, those are the things that when we're talking about if you didn't do it, it's whenever I don't know if you guys ever played. I know you don't like it, but I assume Cyberpunk was similar. But with Shadowrun, whenever I got a helmet, it's like, all right, what am I putting in there? I'm putting in where I can hear better. I'm putting in where I can see, in different low light, thermographic, ultra.
Ultraviolet.
No, not the ultraviolet. It's the.
I put like ultraviolet in there just
it's sonar.
Fuck with it.
It's sonar, so you can see through a smoke, which the others can't.
Sonar, radar, lidar.
Well, the radar is a little bit harder, but with the sonar you can do.
I don't know. Just throw it in there anyway.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
The whole R spectrum.
Yeah. But the whole point was that you could see the different things, and it's like, oh, okay.
Tridar.
Like, right.
We'll make up a couple of dars. We'll just make up a couple and put them in there.
Yeah,
the only thing Justin cares about is if it has Gator or not.
I think we could get the modern military to pay for that.
Well, you know what? Is after they paid for the gay bomb.
Yeah, I was going to say they're supposed to design some sort of gay bomb or something.
If the opposition force isn't sufficiently gay, we have to kill them all.
Guys, speaking of weapons, that was my next point here. Hey, do you think there's going to come a point with the advancing of technology that they're going to make a weapon that just makes almost all armor completely obsolete?
Yeah, because we already have it. It's called a nuclear weapon.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that.
Or a fucking tank driving over you.
I don't know if you're as big as a tank.
Well, the other part is it's all about pressure. That's always that they have tracks. But no, it's we already have we have that. But then the question is, and how much do you want to carry? For missiles.
Do you want to actually be able to actually conquer the land or just glass it?
No. The perfect example is
the half-life to disappear.
Take tanks. Tanks generally, while they have armor, our modern tank rounds can pretty much go through almost any of the armor that they have out there, depending on your range and things like that. It's but that
do you think that the inevitable solution is going to be speed
tactics.
Or speed tactics or the ability to more or less disguise where you actually are, some sort of cloaking or invisibility or things like that. I saw something about that recently. I even saw something today that was kind of bizarre, the jellyfish UFO, if you haven't seen that. It's this It looks like the Viper droid from Hoth, where it hovers over these places, and then half the time it's out of, you can't see it. I mean, you can
That
only
shit's
kind of
made
see
up.
the out.
Shadow.
I think
No, I don't buy
the
it for a
biggest-
second. I thought it was
the biggest
totally
thing is
fake.
going to
But
be
Okay, I'm just making sure.
sensors.
But I
are
have
gonna be
seen
the fighting.
I have seen cloaks and ponchos and things like that that can, you know, almost do the Predator thing where you can't see it. If you can't see it, you can't shoot it, and then you have to just, you know, glass the whole area.
Well, that's why sensors are going to be so important, because if you're the first to see and engage, you're the one that's going to kill.
Yeah, that's why I say we put them all in there and we make up a couple extra, even though they're empty boxes, maybe with some elastic bands in them, because they will buy it.
Well, I mean, there's a few things, which is always you can get the ECM. I don't know. Did you guys watch the I forgot which channel it's on, but where they had the guy, he decided to lather himself up with mud and seeing if they could use the thermographic to find him. They couldn't find him.
Yeah.
Right.
And
how long is it before it's a matter of motion sensing or scent, which already exists, or things like that? You know, where, you know, it's all about identifying the target, and then, you know, okay, we've got 30 targets here. We just send one bomb and
I'm just saying, I don't want to be the guy that needs to refill the bear urine dispenser on the battle armor.
Well, here's the, you know, whenever you're looking at a lot of this stuff, and they talk about this in Vietnam, was they could smell the Viet Cong before they ever saw them.
Yeah, they could smell the cooking miles away.
It's, you know, the other thing that they talk about is, you know, people lighting cigarettes. Just, you know, for you, Shadows, they see the cherry. It's like, okay, I know where you are.
Hey, I'm gonna go with a cigarette in my mouth one way or another. You know.
But no, I mean, you know, there's certain things that you can do to reduce your, you know, like everything else. It's how much can you reduce it? It's just like, you know, nothing's perfect, but it's still better than what you have before. It's just like when they talk about stealth technologies. I remember years ago them talking about cell phone towers can defeat a lot of the stealth technologies, but it's still better than what you had before. So it stops everything, you know, other technologies from that. And the same thing when we're talking about armor, which is what I put up there, is what's the average U.S. military trying to defend against? They're trying to defend against shrapnel, not as much against bullets. Now they are doing bullets, but shrapnel was the biggest, historically, the biggest killer of military.
And things like that, as well as suicide bombs and all that sort of thing.
So what you're saying is it's better to deploy your troops with small explosive launchers than guns?
No, what you do is it's better to have your sniper not shoot and have him to call in artillery. That's what it's better to do.
Yeah, but I'm saying like a gun that shoots out of like a micro grenade.
Well, they were talking about doing that, but again, you know, it depends on your.
It's heavy, you know, it's that kind of shit. It's like,
Well,
what's practical?
Tactical nuke.
Well, it's like, what can we give the
nuke it from orbit? The only way to be sure.
You know, what can we give a couple million soldiers enough to just defend themselves, or maybe suppress to where you call in those artillery strikes? You know, that kind of shit. You don't want everybody to have like a 30 millimeter autocannon, you know, or a grenade launcher weapon, because
why not?
It's expensive.
I'm talking about much smaller grenades, like, you know, the size of one of your paint bottles there, Brian.
No, yeah, sure.
It depends on
like a 50 cal. It's just heavy. It's propellant. You got to put it in a magazine. The magazine's going to be heavy because you got to fit the rounds in.
Yes, but I'm thinking you need to fire a lot less of them if they're blowing up and dispersing shrapnel everywhere.
So Justin, you're thinking like someone that makes sense. If you actually look at the efficiency of the U.S. military, we've become more efficient about sending lead down range, but we've become less efficient at actually killing.
Yeah,
that's what gets me about it. And a lot of it's because the tactics have changed. There's a big difference. Like if you look at Gettysburg, you know, we had or Antietam, there's 50,000 dead in one day, and then you look at a lot of this other stuff, and we're getting a couple of hundred, and that's because they spread out over a huge distance. It's just like the battle.
Well, it's hard to get into a kneeling or a prone position too when you're wearing a skirt.
This is
Modern Army.
But but the thing is also the fact
you know what?
it's like we're not
Scottish
assaulting. We're not
there,
doing
man.
like these meat wave attacks. We're not doing
yeah,
that.
those were mini skirts.
We're just stopping and calling our
It's easier then.
Tactical miniskirt. And you're right, Brian. We used to just blitzkrieg back and forth. There's not enough balls left in the military today, I think, to do.
I mean, I don't even think it's that. I think it's
and we used to also do war of attrition too, and we don't do that
Well,
anymore.
when they
it's better
draft,
to keep your men
they do
alive than to kill them off.
Russia.
when they draft Brian, there'll be at least one red ball on a string.
You know what? He says that, and then all I can think is I see this ball hanging here, and Brian doing this like a cat. You know,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
which is
When he
cement.
needs to talk, he hangs it up and does that during the conversation.
oh no.
Right,
Well, and just for you, Justin, for you would just put on a paddle and you just do this the entire time with it. No.
You know, eventually, I don't even think it's going to matter because we're gonna drone everything.
Yeah.
You know?
You see,
Yeah.
Mac, that's
See, the-
exactly what I keep thinking.
Yeah, the
Is
Army of the
it-
Future is. There was a Stargate episode I remember where they visited some other world, and the world was just about done. I mean, they just about destroyed each other, and all that was left was a bunch of people sitting in these pole position arcade looking booths,
You know what?
flying these drone fighters, attacking each other back and forth.
Wasn't
I'm
that
gonna-
one classic episode of Sequest where it was a boy and a girl on opposite sides? Of
Oh,
the
I
island?
love that
Yeah.
one. They were like the last two people left.
And they're
Right,
playing like
and
an
that's
arcade
what they were
game.
doing.
That
They
was a
had
great
these
episode.
remote control robots that were, fighting, and they didn't realize they were basically the Adam and Eve of their world, kind of like several classic episodes of the Twilight Zone, where
Yeah.
the Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery one, where they were the last, more or less, kind of like the last two people of their respective countries, and war's over.
Then a bunch of sailors showed up and convinced him to stop fighting and go have sex.
But I mean, but there's gonna be a lot of things, when you start
That was the
looking at
time
it, which
travel
is,
episode.
if we're talking about this, is usually whenever we're playing games, we assume that they're not big wars, which is what everyone's talking about. We're assuming that they're not big wars. They tend to be special forces, very limited number of troops going back
Mercenary
and forth
groups.
doing skirmishes. Whereas if once you start getting the big stuff, guess what? Your whole logistic system fails, and
your
you're back to
players desert the game like rats on a sinking ship because they can't handle it. Usually, I have never seen a game, an actual game of role players where it came to war and they wanted to hit the front lines. They were like, "We're out of here."
It is
because
hard.
because
Listen,
because it's
I've done
stupid
that,
to go fight the
Shadow.
front line.
It is
That's why.
hard to role play a front line, dude.
Yeah.
With all these
boring,
individuals,
too. I can-
I would love to be in that position. I was in a game a while back where I was playing a paladin, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I was there. There was the front lines. I'm trying to go
but
for
you
it.
also
and
hand out magic items like they were like grains
well,
of
you know,
sand.
but you're
I had
saying
less
you want to
than- I had
role
less
play
than
this.
9
Shadow, you
items
want to
total.
role play? You don't role play fucking combat, dude. You fight
Yeah,
it. You
it's,
fight.
I'm
It turns
thinking a
into
paladin is different than being on a front line in a shooting war. That's
Oh, absolutely.
that's more like rolling dice for Axis and allies.
Well, and just even if you're playing a paladin in a war, you're not fucking role playing. You're combating. It's
Yeah.
just
Well, no.
it just turns into a combat
I'm going to
phase.
disagree. I'm going to disagree with you on that, Brian. You will role play if you're being a leader, but the problem that I have with
That's
it is
different. There's only one leader in a squad. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Oh no, I
That's
agree with
it.
you on that. The problem that I have with too much of this is I don't want to play a war because I've been over there. You're usually sitting on your ass, twiddling your thumbs for most of the time. You get lobbed at, and then if you actually go on the front lines, then you kind of sit where you are and hoping that the lines
You don't
move one
die.
way or the other. It's not fun.
Yeah,
It's
but that's
fun.
not our RPGs.
Oh, yeah, but our RPGs again that's why I do skirmish. If you know what, the whole point of a war is for me to stay out of it, and I will do the special forces crap. Put me behind the lines. Let me do the dirty dozen kind of stuff. That's the fun part of it.
That is a
Sitting
valid
out-
point. I mean, you pretty much just go play Warhammer if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even Twilight 2000, everything we did was all the shit on the side at night in the dark, going through the jungle, fire team. Rarely did we get bigger than a fire team.
And Twilight 2000 was after the war.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It wasn't
Yeah, but
massive
it was.
unit.
But the group I played with, they actually set it in like the late 80s.
Yeah. I
So
used to play
they
it all
changed
the
the setting, so all that nuclear shit hadn't happened yet.
time.
It was a lot more fun.
I don't know. I liked all the nuclear shit. That was cool.
well, that's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
From what I
That
hear,
was the
this
whole
game is gonna
setting.
be.
It was like a post nuke. You had all these surviving.
Yeah,
You
we're almost
know,
to Twilight
unit.
2000 times.
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
ever
do
get
this
the
much.
feeling that the powers that be are actually,
Oh,
role
that's
playing
sweet.
this shit out in their
Oh,
freaking
man.
smoke filled freaking
It's
evil
like
layers.
You give them
every
too much credit.
every right wing, like far right fearmonger book, like Camp of the Saints or the Turner Diaries or something like that, the government seems to take these as instruction manuals. Like, this is what you're supposed to do, not what you're supposed to avoid.
I mean,
That doesn't look very used.
It is.
I just opened it up like 2 days ago.
Oh,
What is it?
This no. See, you're thinking the old. This is
Twilight
the new
2000.
version by Free League, which DM James really likes this version.
What is it?
Twilight
It's
2000.
Twilight 2000.
No, if it ain't the fucking 80s Twilight 2000, it ain't fucking Twilight 2000.
Well, you just that's but I mean, they went all out for a lot of this.
Yeah, I wonder if I can find the PDF.
so is that
for
like a reprint, or is that the
No.
newer version where you're further in the future?
It's
It's the
the
newer
new version where a lot of it's. I think this is set in Sweden or Poland.
Yeah, Poland was a big setting in the original.
So this is the referee's manual, and then this is the player's manual. Actually, I mean, you want to talk about weapons and everything else in there? They've
Oh yeah, even the original had a great selection.
yeah. They've got the cards in here, which are really nice. Again,
What's different
more.
between the two versions?
Look, I like the old version for some of it, but I think that and I haven't really dug into this to give an opinion on it one way or the other.
I'm gonna have to look for the PDF of the original Twilight before I spend the money. I actually been reading a lot of PDFs lately, which is like totally out of character for me. Just because I don't want to pay $50 for a 30-page book, and for like the top secret reviews I'm doing, I have several of them, but they're sealed. I'm not popping it open to read a 30-page module. So I went and found them on just the internet, not even like the high seas or anything. Just people had put them up on Scribd and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I should rethink this PDF thing. Not necessarily downloading them, but if I can find it for free, read them and decide if I want to own it. Because
that's what PDFs are for.
I mean,
Apparently.
to me, I like having both, and this is why. I mean, I've had the PDFs for this for months, but actually, I've had it for a couple of years. I just haven't really gotten into it. But for quality, man, when you get a Free League box set, they're outstanding. And again, everyone talks about stuff. Well, I like this version. I haven't tried the new version to compare it to the old version. I do remember the old version. I do like the traveler-esque aspect of
I
where
was
you
just
can.
thinking the same thing there, Mac.
Yeah.
You know what? If she's
Or did
busy,
we-
she's busy. It's.
Or did we
Yeah.
pass up
Well,
the
I just
conversation?
I didn't want her just kind of sitting off to the side, thinking that she wasn't still welcome
gotta
to
go.
show up.
What was that, Jack?
I gotta go.
Okay, see you later, Jack.
Okay, well,
Party on, man.
next
Goodbye.
time don't talk so much.
Tell her we said hi.
Word in edgewise, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is a heavy box set. I mean, that's
Yeah, Free
Yep.
League does produce dense products.
yeah, they're so I can't, and I know that DM James, who's actually seen combat, said he thought it matched his experiences and more.
Yeah, I've never heard people really talk about like excess fat on Free League products.
They don't bring when they bring something out, they actually mean to do something useful for it, and they'll do an adventure, but usually their adventures, even like the Aliens box sets for their adventures, top notch too. I mean, I think in some ways I wasn't I think that's where they really shine in some of their stuff.
Yeah.
But I like the body armor. The question again is, where do they need to go and how heavy does it need to be? And
yeah, and I like their I think it's across the board, but I know it's with Morkborg. Their license is pretty good for when they have an open license. It's just don't create anything deliberately offensive.
the problem I have with that is that it's just too vague. I understand what they may be saying to protect themselves, but I would be really careful because at any point they can classify anything as offensive.
No. They list off like sexist, racist.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so this is the other one that you get in there, and then
It's
Just
like
don't
if you're creating some sort of combat system, you're gonna have fucking hatred on
Yeah,
all sorts
but
of different kind of levels.
Don't do the jokes we were doing earlier with the gay
Yeah.
bomb, right?
well, no,
That'd be
that's not a
fucking
joke. That was
funny,
actually
though.
by DARPA.
Yes,
That was
but
by
you
DARPA.
don't put that in the game
I know.
directly because
Well, you guys have seen that footage where the Brits did they deployed like a unit in the field, and then they all gave them like what was it, acid or some shit,
yeah.
and then it was like, okay, we're gonna try to do some combat maneuvers and shit, and they're just like, okay, they're just kind of mumbling around.
Oh.
and, I mean, that's
Any-
funny.
it-
That's cool.
Anyone watch Angry
Kind of
Cops?
game.
Watch what?
Angry Cops.
No.
So he was talking
I've seen
about
Angry
how,
Cops.
yeah, but he was talking about how they were trying to do. They had AI that could identify human beings, and they said, okay, they wanted the Marines to come in there and defeat it, so they could actually walk up without it detecting them. And one of them literally put a box, like a cardboard box, over his head and walked towards it, and it did not recognize that was a human. And so
Yeah.
they did that. Another one did cartwheels towards it. There were a few other things that went in there. But by the way, this is the Destroyer of Worlds. That adventure that they have for their cinematic, each with different characters and stuff. Since we're talking about Space Marines for the Alien, these are they do a great job for it. You may not like one of
You
the
guys ever read the Colonial Marine source book or whatever? It was back in the 80s.
I have the new version too. Also,
That was pretty
speaking
cool.
of which,
Was that Mongoose or some pre-Mongoose?
I don't even think it was for a game. I think it was just kind of like a.
it was like a source book that was just like it was
Like the old Star Trek manuals.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
wasn't for any specific game. It was just kind of a technical manual or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
they release those
Right.
products every now and then for sci-fi
That's
stuff.
pretty cool.
Just
Yeah, I've got the Star Trek
just meta materials,
the
right?
60s or 70s. They were written like it was a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Terran Trade Federation put out a bunch of books that were like that as well.
Yeah, I just
sort
came
of.
across their Reddit page.
Terran Trade.
Yeah.
It's got some great artwork, right?
Yeah.
Now
Got two
we're
of
going to
them
talk about for the
here,
Colonial Marines for
Spacecraft and
Alien.
Great Space Battles. Those books are so expensive,
Yeah.
but they're definitely something to have.
There was what,
Just-
4 of them?
What system is that?
That's not a
This-
system. That's
What this Alien or what they're talking about?
Yeah, the Alien.
It's the Alien RPG. Their Mutant
Oh.
Zero game.
that's the RPG.
Or the,
Yeah, but I mean, okay, mechanics, I guess I should say.
the mechanics are basically, just so you know, is
D20, D6, 2D10s.
it's the D6, and you just basically try to get 1 6 on it to succeed, and you just add your skill plus your attribute, and then you can get pluses or minuses on it depending on,
Oh, so it's kind of like Unisystem.
So that's the way that it works, and then as you get more successes, then it gets in there. And then you get stress dice, and the stress dice are what really make Alien pop, because you can panic. So all of a sudden, your Marine can go berserk. It's like, it captures that your character can go catatonic. Just depends on how much stress you have and how you roll, which I think is cool. But in here, in this RPG for the Colonial Marines, they have power armor. I'm trying to find the picture for it.
Yeah. Isn't it just the skeleton, or do they have full on?
No, it's got like missiles and stuff like that on it.
Yeah.
I need to find it in here.
Another new face.
No. Oh wow. Well,
Yeah,
you bring
there's
that up.
another
It's
Mac.
Popular, Sheriff.
There's another
Yeah,
Mac.
Nice to have new
Suggestion.
faces in the chat, provided they're not, trolly.
Yeah, but this is a big thing, especially in the climate that we fucking game in now.
I think you're getting cold.
Mac has kind of a German kind of tone to it, and of course, all the fucking sensitive folks are gonna say, "Oh, it's kind of Nazi-ish."
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
That they've used the word
I
so
don't
much
give
it
a
doesn't
shit.
mean like what it
But I'm
used
just
to.
saying,
Yeah.
It never
fucking
meant what it used to anyway.
the bullshit.
It's like, look, I've actually been around, and seen some of this stuff. I'm like, guys, you don't even know what you're talking about. And to think that it's limited to just Nazis. Well, I've been over where the Khmer Rouge has been too.
Yep, those guys were freaking psychos.
Well, so were the, you had the Chinese, you had the North Koreans, this whole idea of where everyone's like, well, if the government was just in charge, like, yeah, we did that.
Yeah, no thanks.
It's okay, where are they, damn it?
I had to look up this elemental fucking thing you guys keep talking about.
Oh, the elemental? Yeah.
Those are just
Well,
the
if
basic power.
Nerds
armor.
ever gets here, she can explain it.
Yeah, it's in
Use the Harrier, it's gonna
BattleTech.
be
In BattleTech, it's the body armor, the heavy
No spoilers.
Oh, like
body
the heavy
armor for the
infantry.
clan.
It's clan
Okay.
stuff where they decided to get their elementals, which are physically superhuman giants,
Okay.
that they put the armor in, and what they would basically do is they'd use them in stars, which I think were 4 elementals.
Five.
At 5, and then what they would do is they would move them in close enough that they were supposed to kind of climb up the battle mech and
I
pretty
don't know
much
what that means.
attack the pilot.
Sparrow Destroyer. Were you here earlier?
That is exactly word for word what James said right before he left.
What?
And the comment before that is what Franz 42,000 said about half an hour ago.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know. Is that like a bot troll or something?
Yeah, maybe.
It
Good
could
catch.
be. It could be. We've some of my friends and I have been experiencing some rude behavior from folks just with nothing better to do. I hope that's not the case here. I'll give you guys the benefit of the doubt. Just don't be asking for links. We don't do that, except with people I know personally. Too much
So,
weirdness.
Brian, you have to leave.
Here.
Brian was the last one that allowed
Watching you,
on
Taro.
that was weird.
I know. It's like I was the exception. I mean, they took a chance and hey, you guys won. You won a big prize.
Yeah, well, no.
You've been kind of pervy, man.
Says Mr. Ballgag over there.
Yeah,
he
little
started
pop
that
kettle going
shit.
on.
Okay, so
Hey,
here
I'm
you
just
go.
saying, cat girls did nothing wrong.
There you go. This is what they have for Colonial Marines. And let's see, what did they put on there? They put a 25 millimeter Gatling gun,
Ooh.
an M240 incinerator unit, a stun baton, a grenade launcher with firebomb ammunition, and a grasping claw. So,
Everybody loves a Gatling gun.
One of the greatest inventions of all time, if you ask me.
Yep.
I don't know. I kind of thought the puckle gun was cool.
I have no idea what the fuck that is.
I like, what was
Read
that
a
called?
book.
It was the one that uses the electromagnetic that fires. You know, where
The
they put
Gauss
all the
rifle?
bullets. No, they put all the bullets in the barrel, and then they can shoot off as many as they want.
Oh yeah, those giant. They're like a giant like blocks.
No. This is for pistols.
What the fuck is a puckle gun?
The puckle gun is like the predecessor to the Gatling gun, except you would put all the bullets in this big tall like upside down magazine, essentially.
Okay,
It was on top of the
yeah,
gun,
I've
and then they
seen
would
that.
they would like crank it, and as the bullets dropped down, they would fire out.
Yeah.
Inaccurate as hell, but
There's a thing
Yeah,
called,
I
like,
just
the
it was
never
great
gave a
during the
shit.
late 1700s.
with a
I
metal
just never gave a
slug
shit what it was
system.
called.
It's just like a giant box with just filled with bullets, right?
Yeah.
And it's all electric, and it just goes, and it shoots out like 5,000 bullets at once.
Yeah,
the
the bullet
5,000 more
cloud
behind it,
thing.
and then it just
Was it called
Yeah,
Metal
my
Storm?
dad, when he
it's
was
something
younger,
like that, metal
Something like that.
slug or some shit like that.
Metal Storm.
And when it
was
started
different.
firing, everybody on the battlefield, their assholes would puckle before they'd
And
run.
they just liquefy.
My
Yeah,
dad
it's-
saw the test firing of a weapon like that. They said they took out a donkey downrange, and within a blink of an eye, it was just literally pink mist.
Yeah.
I talked to some
But
people
that
during
wasn't
the.
because they fired the weapon.
I talked about it in the
You let
first.
Brian in the room.
They
But
fired
it
in
was
the first.
outside.
They fired in the first Gulf War. I knew some guys that, oh, such and such was fired, and they would fire at camels and stuff with the dragons. Really? No. So Metal Storm is what it was called. It went defunct in 2012.
Oh, okay.
But what it would do is you could have as many like you're talking about is you could put them in the big giant box, but they would have a bunch of rounds in there, and it would fire off different rounds. I even saw when they were doing, and it had to be like 10 plus years ago. Well, it says before 2012. At one point, they were talking about actually using it with fire retardant, and it could shoot the fire retardant out in like a mass wave to like put out fires. And so, I mean, it gave a lot of concepts that were really cool. But like a lot of things, is just because something can do something, do we need it or do we want it?
What the fuck are you going to use a 500 round dispersing unit?
Well, it was supposed to be
for
like a
killing
point
crowds of
defense
people?
thing. Like it's almost like a claymore. You'd set it up, and like it would defend your flanks or whatever the fuck. If something came around, it'd just liquefy it.
So Justin, it's not just that. It's what it
crowd
could do.
mass
No.
murder.
Justin, is you have all of the bullets stacked in there, so it could fire a bunch of them all at once, and then you basically could fire. You could fire. Let's say that you have 10 barrels.
Gigantic buckshot.
Yes. Well, you could fire the
fucking
10.
shit.
Well, you could fire 10 barrels at once. Each of them could have 10 rounds. So you could fire 10, or you could fire 100 rounds almost all at once. It was one of those things that was. It was a cool idea.
It's literally so you mass murder a fucking protest group.
Or use it
Instead of
in
a water
war.
cannon, you use.
Well, no. They talked about using that with fire retardant, where they would actually could shoot off.
Yeah.
Stuff that was out. I mean, it was a cool idea, but
Justin just gave me a cool idea. Can you imagine loading those things down with rubber bullets and then take it to a BLM riot? That would
Are
be
there
hilarious.
still BLM riots?
actually you
Well,
don't.
yeah, I don't know. Whoever the latest group is.
No, because I'm against it. Any of that. All you really have to do is you just have to tell them that there's a.
You're against
okay.
riots or rubber bullets?
It's what most of the BLM riots. It's a bunch of white kids. You just tell them that they're going to lose all of their college loans, and they'll all disperse. Hey guys, you lose your unemployment if you're out here. Ah!
Shut down
No
the Twitter accounts.
No more loan for
That's how you really
or
push.
your Twitter. Oh no, you can't do
My
that.
Twitter? No, it's too easy to sign up for another one.
The biggest supporters were people who weren't affected. When I started seeing this over in England, I was like, really?
Yeah, well, it's.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you who organizes it, but it's one of those things where I tell you who finances it, you'll call me a communist. If I tell you who's behind it, you'll call me.
No, I mean, if you look at I thought a lot of the money going out there, when you look at it, it's actually went to democratic causes that had nothing to do with like BLM or like any of the issues that we actually do have with police. All these people want to do about
But there aren't enough of them.
No, our problem really comes down to is let's get rid of asset forfeiture unless you're actually convicted. Let's talk about like real issues that for police that shouldn't be allowed. But that's not what they go for. It's always about something else.
Well, they'll. I loved BLM because they would ignore legitimate fucking things, like innocent people that were caught up in crap, and go after like the guy with the gun. That wasn't a gun; it was a book. It's black and L-shaped.
It was no. My favorite is like a knife. Oh no, it was a knife. Oh, they shot an unarmed man, and like even the guy admitted, like, yeah, I had a knife in my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? That was intent. You know, but that's a separate thing.
No, there was literally one of those protests over a
I know.
guy getting tackled because he had a gun,
I
and
know.
they tried to claim the gun was a book. He was
It-
just
it-
reading in public. Black
well,
people can't
If
read.
cops showed up with puckle guns, there'd be a lot less violence.
No, there are legitimate.
Is that tank police? It's like the whole
Yeah.
premise of tank police is like crime has gotten so bad they have to deploy tanks.
I love that anime, man.
Oh,
that is
so-
the
so-
best anime ever.
so
And
you
it had
remember-
cat girls too. So.
It did. It had the dual cat girls.
Well, no. Do you remember the Ghost in the
Shadow's
Shell?
like, I'm checking out of this one.
Yeah, no.
I think we've hit
Never
armor.
seen Ghost in the Shell.
Well, no.
Yes.
No, with the Ghost in the Shell, when they decided to go after Unit 9 with the military.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they had their, which is right at the edge of what we might consider power armor, when they decided to go after them real hard and kill each one? That was pretty cool.
I like those tanks. Those blue ones that they had.
Yeah.
Little
in the
tough
anime.
tanks.
Yeah, but the Kitchmick or whatever they were called. But no, I'm referring to when they flew. You know, but they had which you see kind of where they had them with Rifts, where they have the power armor along with the jets and things. I was like, yeah, that's the other question, Shadows. While you were talking about it, I know we touched a little bit, but for cybernetics, it's like, okay, as you get blown up, you just get more and more cybernetics. At which point does that become power armor versus just limbs?
Well, yeah.
Well, eventually you're just, a brain floating in a jar inside a robot suit.
Right. That's, I think, or AI or something like that. I think inevitably,
Immortal, I'm okay with it.
as long as you have what?
As long as my brain is immortal, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to get to that point. Many, hundreds of years, sure, but I think inevitably, robots are going to be the way to go. If the goal is to win with as few casualties as possible on your side, it's going to be inevitable that robots or Terminators or cyborgs or something similar is the solution to warfare, on the highest tech levels. There's no point in risking your citizenry, and the way things I see going, our militaries are less and less full of able-bodied people, and eventually, we're going to have that situation where, from Sequest, where it was just one guy and one girl running the whole show, fighting each other over whatever ridiculous nonsense.
Yeah, I'm being perpetuated by an AI.
Bubblegum
Crisis was good though.
But here's the problem again that you get into it is, and we're only beginning to see it right now, which is, you can go for Doom like the Butlerian Jihad, where the robots turn against the creators. That's where it gets interesting.
Robots didn't turn against the creators. They were subverted by
liberal programming.
No, a group of elite that put their brains in jars.
In Dune?
Like in Futurama?
Yeah, in Dune, there was a group called the Titans, I think.
No,
and they put all their brains.
Jihad was like actually like robots were overtaking, the humanity.
Yeah. No. There was a clique that put their brains in jars and put their bodies, put their jars into robot bodies, and then took over the
clique.
Click.
Clique.
He means click. Yeah.
Clique.
It's the same difference.
That's Canadian French for click.
I know. I learned something today.
The proper way is actually clique, by the way.
Yeah.
Sure,
QUE.
sure. Well, we'll touch a Canadian on this and tell us how to speak American.
Like Monique.
American.
That's right.
What language is American again?
American. And if you don't believe me,
Yeah. Isn't that the one that comes with the pointed hat?
it's right up there.
The white one or the tricorner?
No, it says dunce on it.
No. See, that's what the English have.
No. That's your language. Dunce.
Hey, you got Australian, you got Canadian, you got American, and somewhere in there.
We just streamlined the language.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
you streamlined it with French.
Have you ever looked at
German?
Lost on the Pond? And
No,
in certain
we did
cases,
that.
it goes, no, the Americans are saying how it was originally pronounced versus how the British do it. I mean, it's like yeah, it's fun to watch some of those things, but I don't want to do anything.
I gotta head out. So
all right, see you later.
I was
man.
going to end the show shortly, anyways. Mac, I've
if
gotta
Nerds
go.
ever makes it, tell her I'm sorry I missed her, and she's probably waiting for me to leave. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
She may be.
I think she's still mad at me
with
for that
the bear.
Pascal's wager argument.
She may be over there with the bear.
Pascal's
I doubt that.
I missed that.
Nerds, she's solid. She can take a joke
Oh, I know she's a
or a
joke.
jibe.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I got some shit I got to get done.
she's
Since
a-
it's like 50 below here, I got to take the dogs out myself. And
I'm about to. Texas is about to get hit with that freeze.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Tomorrow.
y'all better buy
hey,
some
I went-
firewood this time.
Just for Brian, I went swimming today. Out there.
Just for Brian, how does that work?
That
no.
sounded kind of gay. On that note, see you guys later.
Party
Take
on, man.
care, Mac.
It
I'll
is,
see
dude.
you
Next
next
week,
week.
I'm happy. I don't know what you people keep on trying to pervert the language.
Yeah, I know. Can't you just call him a sodomite like everyone else does?
I think I'm going to head out with Mac and leave you freaking knuckleheads here to your own devices.
Are you sure about that? Because the
Yeah, I
second
know.
you do that, Brian's whipping something out.
Well then,
He said he would. He said he would.
I don't believe that for a second.
No, but no, I mean, I'm not this. To me, it's going to be a combination of things, which is you're going to have partial AI, usually controlled by a central command unit, which is where your power armor really comes into. Is they're going to basically be sending drones outside with a man controlling them. That's the way I can see it happening. Because, boy, when you get into that high tech combat, you're taking out satellites, you have ECM everywhere. And now
just
you're
think about it. It's like I know America is doing that mass producing drone technology or whatever, but think about that, guys. You don't need physically fit motherfuckers anymore. You don't need young guys anymore. You just need people that are efficient with controlling, drones and deploying them however they need to be deployed.
Yeah,
and mass production of drones.
And the
here's the problem that you. Again, the problem that you still get is you still have to have a command and control in there.
Sure.
And then the other point is, we aren't at, looking at Ukraine. They still have to have the soldiers out there, even though they're going drones back and forth. But, if you listen to it, a lot of it is the electronic countermeasures, which is screwing up a lot of this stuff. And then if you suddenly lose satellites, which is the problem I think the U.S. has, is the U.S. is so reliant on technology that you're beginning to realize that, what our logistics is screwed up. I mean, what the hell? When we start finding out, well, we don't have enough spare parts for this. We don't have enough spare parts for this. And by the way, we're running out of Patriot missile systems. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
When you allow such a monopoly that a key trigger component, the black powder trigger systems that they had for the one missile type, went down for over a year because the plant had a fire, and it's black powder. You can't just say, "Oh, you didn't diversify your production locations. You lost the contract."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's I forgot. I was talking to a contracting officer, and she said at one point there were like 1,000 defense contractors, and now they've kind of narrowed it down to about 4. It's amazing when you watch them just how many of them have, just gone all the way down. And that's one part, but if we're going to be talking about high-tech combat, and we're talking like real war kind of thing, we're going to be in Twilight 2000 faster than you can imagine, because the first thing they do is take out the satellites, boom, then they take out the cable networks undersea, boom. So now you're kind of going, okay, well, what can we do for that? And then you might be bouncing some radar, some signals off of the atmosphere, which you can do, but you still get the same problem of, okay, how
they can also
you're almost going to be.
They can also produce low-level satellites, right? That technology exists with the
but your problem is that they only last for a couple of weeks before they go back into the atmosphere.
But if you need to get coverage quick in an area, you can just deploy a bunch of those.
Okay, but do you know how long it takes to actually produce one? Is the problem that you're having?
Well, that's something that needs to be worked on, right?
I'm sure they got some in someone's like shed.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the problem of whenever we look at these really high tech things. At a certain point, you're going, okay, we're right back to the
or you get your government. You get your government. Some guy's testing his balloon, so they shoot a $5 million missile at it, and then blame the Chinese.
Well, that thing was huge. If you look at it, that was
one of them was huge. The one in Alaska was a, like Justin said, it was a cool project thing. The one that went over states was the payload was.
Well, guys, I'm
all right, Brian. I will see you.
Hey, Brian, I'm going to see you tomorrow.
Owen, I'm not going to be going tomorrow, dude, because that weather's going to be hitting, and I'm not going to get stuck anywhere.
You're not going to be stuck out there, man. That weather's not going to be hitting until after, after 4. Here's the real reason. You just don't want to get out of your nice warm house, out of your giant snuggie.
Right. I don't need firewood. I just got Mel and a big blanket. That's all I need.
He's going to knock it.
He's got a whole bunch of new ball gags he's bringing.
He is married. If there was no action, I would feel sorry for him. But yeah, I mean that's the problem of whenever you start looking at high tech combat. At a certain point, all of a sudden, all your weapons start disappearing, all your ammo starts the high tech stuff that goes on. That's the first thing that goes, and then you're like, all right, now what are we back to? It's like, hey guys, can you forge bullets?
Take care, Brian. I'll see you real soon.
All right, buddy.
Party on, man.
Yeah, I mean, how can you forge bullets? And then it's can you now create black powder? It's going to be a lot of these things. We're going to be like the 1800s.
Well, yeah, if it goes on long enough. But
or sticks and stones, like Einstein said.
But the problem with your country, and to a limited extent mine, is we've overseized all the mass production of things, and then we're antagonizing the countries we overseized those productions to. So they still have the weapons production chains fully functional.
No, we have the weapons production
but
here in the US.
Not to the same level, and especially for the high tech stuff.
No. For the low tech stuff is what we offshored. We offshored our low, if you look at what we really did, we're not talking the high tech stuff. The high tech stuff's here in the US. The low tech stuff,
but the subcomponents for the high tech stuff is overseas.
Even a lot of the stuff here is in the US. Even a lot of that is our big problem starts coming down to very similar to what happened with Russia when they started the war, like button manufacturing, uniform manufacturing. There's a lot of these things that we oversee. I say we oversee. A lot of it's in Mexico, to be fair, but
even Mexico got shipped over to China.
But I'm saying, it's the basic stuff that we don't think about. It's like, your low level batteries. Your there's a lot of things that you're just like, this doesn't make sense. We don't have the massive manufacturing capabilities that we used to have, and the the contractors aren't, like the low stuff isn't where they make their margins. They make their margins off the F-22s, F-35s, all of that stuff. That's where they make all their high-end stuff. But the average stuff that's out there, they're like, oh, well, we can't produce enough of that. Like, how can you not produce enough 155 millimeter shells? That's what gets me. It's and don't get me wrong, is you take out one or two factories here in the U.S. and all of a sudden you get no supply chain for these high level equipment.
And that's what I'm getting at. Where they're more diversified in China and shit like that. For that.
Well, China just goes over. Well, one is they have the people, and the number two is they can go. Look, we could just. If it wasn't for the U.S. arms manufacturing from the civilian side, we could not produce enough rounds. Period. That's what I think it gets me about this whole thing. Whereas China's like, oh, we'll just. And the same thing with Russia. Russia did not dismantle their production facilities. What they did is they just mothballed them. Whereas here's like, how in the world can we mess up on 155? And they're like, oh, that technology is 40 years old. I went, you didn't improve your dies? You didn't try redoing that? Yeah, that's what gets me about it. And the same thing with
and that's by design. That doesn't happen by accident. You do that intentionally.
Well, I'll be honest about it. Is if you work in the contract, like if you see it in some of the contracting, it's. Oh, you know what? We could spend $5 or $10 million to redo these dies, or I could spend $100 billion on the F-22. F-22 wins. It's like, wait a minute, which one is more important? That's the thing that gets me out of a lot of this, and that's why I said we are so reliant on GPS. And I go, GPS is as soon as you break apart satellites, and you get that debris out there, it's taking out all the satellites, both sides, to be fair. That's the problem that you're going to have with this, and that's why when China exploded that one satellite, when they shot up the missile into space, and then they blew up their satellite. That was the major complaint, is because it's you're whatever the debris is until it can get out, and that might take 10 or 20 years. That's why I said this whole idea of like we're going to win against the Chinese or Russians. I went. It just depends on who says, fuck it, take out the satellite.
I honestly believe they only did that to prove they had the capability.
Yeah.
Because of all the saber rattling in North American news, right? Like
in the West,
you can't say every 20 minutes that China is the enemy without China hearing you say, China is the enemy. You're literally trying to manufacture a casus belli against them because of something you did.
So let's see.
China didn't force you to move all your companies and businesses over to China. They just opened the door and said, "If you want to come in." Right?
I know. Well, there's a lot of things, even here in the U.S., where we gave them preferential treatment to the ones. Yeah. Anyway, but the report was this is what happened. It was in 2007, so that was under Bush. That wasn't just
but
under
that stuff was happening.
Yeah.
Already then, right? Like so.
Well, but they were already shipping stuff overseas, and that's when they weren't viewing China necessarily as an opponent.
No. We started shipping manufacturing over to China in the fucking 80s.
Yeah. In the 90s is when it really got into it, is allowing the stuff to come back. It's one thing to ship it over there. It's another to say you can allow it back. But, and that's what gets me about this whole thing. But the Russians have had missiles that could take out. We've known about that since the 1980s. The Chinese just did, I think, to prove a point, like you said. There was a lot of screaming about it.
I think it was a far more democratic and peaceful thing China did than what we allowed to happen. Like, what are you doing saying we should go to war with China on fucking CNN? Insert politician's name here. Like, it should be like.
Well, here's what gets me is most of these people I think are midwits.
Wow.
To be fair. And when I say midwits, I'm talking even a lot of these generals when they're saying stuff. And you're going, do you really think we're going to win this? And what it is a lot of them think that we still have the manufacturing capability that we did in the 1980s here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And we don't. Like I said, is Russia has shown You know, that we can't even do a lot of their basic stuff, like finding out what is it, the challengers that are being sent over, and you find out that the UK only has maybe 50 working challengers.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell? How do we allow this to happen? And a lot of it is that they had stuff in the books and they just cannibalized it instead of saying, this is spare parts, we'll take it off our books. And I know everyone talks about the audit. The audit's a little bit different. The audit is on all of our equipment that we're out there, but a lot of stuff is we pre-position and then we just let the stuff rot, and it's terrible for this whole thing, and that's why. But that's what I'm saying is, while we look in this body armor, which is great, don't get me wrong. The other question is, how do you repair it and rebuild it? That's if you like. I got the super cool body armor, and you're like, yeah, we don't want to use it. Why aren't we using it? Because we only have one. That's
and then it disintegrates because you got your basic decay of what happens if you put a car in a garage and you don't empty the fluids. It's not a car. A year later, it's scrap metal.
Well, I mean, I had mine that I put away for 6 months, which was fine. But even things like O-rings, things that we don't think about.
Yes, but you drained the window fluid, the
wiper fluid,
the transmission fluid. You didn't do any of that.
No, it works fine.
You're supposed to do that when you put cars in storage because. Roughly between a year and 18 months, it's just scrap metal if you don't do that.
Mine was still good, still runs perfectly.
You said 6 months, so
I was in Iraq for a year.
You were?
Yeah.
I don't know, man, because that has been known to happen quite a bit.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It depends on what you have in there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, but I'm talking about when we're talking about manufacturing, O-rings. The stuff that
they just dry out.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but O-rings is, when we're talking about the low tech stuff, that's low tech stuff.
It's just a piece of rubber.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean you're doing this? And they're like, oh, well, we forgot to do that, and there's been a lot of things that are this was the interesting part, talking to someone which I know we're going past some of the armor, but what was the biggest things that the Iraqis were running out in the first Gulf War? Tires,
yeah.
And that was what was causing a lot of their big logistics. Is when the tires get shredded going across shrapnel, they couldn't replace them.
That's World War II. That's one of the reasons why the Germans kept pumping out so many variations on tanks, because they were running out of critical materials for key components. So they would have to redesign around that component.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When we talk about these body armors, is just like I know that Shadow says that he has a plate carrier with steel. Steel still stands up to bullets, but when you go for ceramic, that degrades very quickly.
Yeah,
that's why I went with steel.
And now, don't get me wrong; it depends on your view. As ceramic is lighter and it will stop more than just the plain steel for weight.
If you can afford to rapidly replace the component, it's better to have. But if you can't or are unwilling to,
that's the same thing of what was the Battle of Gettysburg fought over?
Cannons,
shoes. The Southern Army was looking at trying to get they were running out of shoes. And it sounds funny on these little tiny things that we go for. And like I said, it
sounds sad.
No. If your army's moving on foot, it makes a lot more sense.
It's even for boots,
especially after watching Glory last year.
Oh yeah,
that was just.
Well, that's why when I hear Mac we don't have the balls to this. No offense, I'm not going to fight your war overseas for just so you can get your
an extra cent of cred.
So you can get your extra money for so your stock price goes up by $5.
That's one of the big things with the provocation in Ukraine, right? Like if you watch that documentary I told you to watch by Oliver Stone.
I haven't watched it, but I want to at some point. But I followed stuff like Mearsheimer and stuff. But a lot of this is if you look at Ukraine, we're talking about all these drones and everything else, and then you look at it, they're running out of men, and which is why
they run out of men.
Well, they're now the average age is in their 40s, which means basically, Shadow, you and I would be drafted into the military. You know, this whole that's why when we were talking about cybernetics, man, if you really look at it, it's like, well, how much am I going to pay for someone on Social Security? How about we give you some new free limbs and you go fight for us? And
How
like,
about they kick rocks?
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's the
No, I get it.
reality of it is, if you could tell, because there are enough old, if you're old and crotchety,
There's a
you
lot
know
of
you're gonna,
vets. There are a lot of vets that would jump at the opportunity.
yeah.
Which is
Well, you heard about Coach Red Pill, right?
Gonzalo Lira, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was pissed off because he could have been released at any time by our State Department.
Well, the embassy didn't even fucking ask for him. And
Oh, no.
They wanted him dead. They wanted
Yeah,
him
exactly. And he said he wanted them dead. He even admitted it. But they asked the State Department one time, like, oh,
we don't know that. I just listened to the thing they played. We're not familiar with that story. Well, you are now.
Well, they were familiar with it. Well, this is when he was first put in jail. But even when he was put in that first week with the SVU, the Chile people were calling the embassy and the Chilean embassy, and because he was dual citizenship, or maybe even 3 or 4, but they were calling, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, he appeared again, and then they got it. Yeah, it was like, why didn't you just expel him? That's all that they had to do.
Well,
it's like, yeah,
the first time, I guess that they arrested him, and they said one of the guards said leave the country, but his official document said stay in the country.
That was the second time.
No, that was the first time.
No, that was the
first
second time.
The first time the official
he was official. There were 3 times he was there. I'm talking the first time. The first time that he disappeared for a week, and then they put him under house arrest.
Yeah, but
that was the first time.
The time he was arrested,
that was the
stayed
second.
in the country.
Yeah.
His paperwork said stay, but one of the guards told him to leave.
Right,
and he did what the paperwork said. And then the second or the last time he was arrested, he was told to stay for trial and tried to leave, and they stopped him at the border. And it wasn't even the Ukrainians that stopped him at the border. It was
Hungary.
It was Hungary. Hungary.
I believe he was trying to go over the Hungarian border. No, he may have been stopped by but he was. But yeah, I know. I followed this when it first happened because he disappeared for a week, and they got the embassy, both the embassies, both the Chilean and the American embassy, and that's when he reappeared after a week. And then the second time, that's when he disappeared for a couple of months, and then he reappeared again. And he says, I bought they told me to get out of the country. But yeah, so the first time he was arrested, they kept him for a week, and then he was under house arrest.
That time they told him to get. That was just a guard, because if you read the post carefully, he says in it that the actual paperwork doesn't say that it says.
Oh, I know. I listened to his stuff. I did. Including his Telegram channel. I mean, that was I trust me, I followed it. And because I thought that he had some really good insights for it, but it was interesting listening to him. He was kind of knew what was going to happen anyway. It was the fact that our State Department did nothing for him. The same thing with the Marine that we have in Russia. Like, why aren't we? It doesn't matter if he's, you just kick him out. But no, it's like the only people that we'll go for is that trans lesbian, whatever her name was, Greiner. We'll do that, but we won't actually pull our own. It doesn't matter if we like them or not. It's like they're an American citizen. Just say, hey, look, well, we'll do the trade. And in the case for Ukraine, all we had to do is say, you're not getting anything unless you.
That guy. It's he's in the embassy in 20 minutes, so we're coming after fucking what's his face,
Julian Assange,
the actor.
Oh yeah.
Zelensky.
Zelensky, yeah.
I mean, all you have to do is say you drop him off and say he has to leave the country. That's all you do. It was really simple, and I agree. But you want to know something? This is the same thing that bothered me in 2012 when I was in Afghanistan, and All I was told, to be fair, they kept saying, if you ever get captured, we'll do everything we can to get you back. We'll do everything we can get you back.
Bullshit.
Wait a minute. And then I heard, and I saw the ambassador die, and they did everything except someone say we screwed up, which is, sometimes like, look, I understand you stuff screws up. You can say we tried, we screwed up, we did, we're fixing it. That's the way it should be. And instead they just went, oh, it doesn't really matter. It was this. Oh, it was a bunch of people because of a movie. Like, are you telling me that this was a spontaneous protest? Do spontaneous protesters have mortars in the back of their car that they just set up? That's not spontaneous.
Yeah, spontaneous based on a movie that, if you actually look at the timeline, hadn't come out yet.
It was, but it was the.
It came out like 4 hours after the protest or some shit like that.
Well, they said it was a protest, but you don't bring mortars to a protest.
No,
I mean, that's just beyond.
Not even in the Middle East.
Guys, I got to hit the road. This was fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna next week. We're gonna go into robots. What do you think?
Oh, robots are fine.
Robots.
I think that's the next logical
Shadow,
conclusion.
When are you gonna be doing your C campaign?
Yeah,
pretty soon here. Pretty soon here.
Water.
I'm just trying to nail down what's the best time for everybody.
Friday night, because
it's looking like it with Bo taking a break or what have you. Otherwise, I don't know. Sunday would be the next one that I've got wide open because the other game with Rick, he's got some issues going on. So I don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah.
And
hey, how about this, guys? Here's our 2024 resolution: stay healthy.
Mentally. As soon as I kick this cold, that was the plan.
Everyone eat better, go exercise. Meditate if you have mental issues. Yeah,
walk, run in place, whatever it takes.
Go hug your kids. Hug your kids. Go hug your dog. Go hug your cat. Whatever reduces your stress level. Everybody stay healthy, or healthier, especially Hungar.
Yeah. Well, if you can,
it wouldn't take much to do that. Oh, fuck that poor girl.
So thanks everybody for playing along tonight. This was fun. I wish Nerds would have showed up. I wish James would have come back. I'll talk to him later. And for all the new folks that showed up tonight, thanks for playing along. I appreciate it. You guys added to the conversation, which is always a bonus. But I will see everybody over on the Quantum Show in just a few minutes. I got to take a bio break and take care of a couple things. So until next week or sooner, I will wish you guys all a great week. Yes, we do this every Saturday night, same time, 6:30 Pacific Standard, rain or shine, or even when I'm coughing up a lung, which fortunately didn't happen. So, friends, you're welcome back. We'll see you guys maybe tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do Connell's show or not yet. I've got something else I got to take care of.
Watch Masters of the Universe and be there.
I just saw it like 6 months ago.
So I'll watch it again.
I'll see if I can manage. It's been too long since I've seen Connell as it is, and I want to talk to him anyways. But all right, guys, I'm out. Happy trails, everybody.
I gotta go reset the whole Last Starfighter here.
Oh, it's upside down, man.